Welcome to The Backlash, a weekly discussion about America's awakening. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Dave Riley. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. I love this changing of the seasons. This is like my favorite time of the year.
I do too. Big fan of all the pumpkins that we've got going on. It's rainy season now.
Cameron disagrees. He likes warm weather.
Explain
Fun
yourself.
in the sun all year long, folks. That's what I'm about.
That's just, how are you doing, Cameron?
I used to live in San Diego, and people would say, "Don't you miss the seasons?" And I'd say, "Fuck no."
I don't know. I like to punctuate my year with, cold weather, snow, holidays that feel like holidays. When I lived in LA, it was just like 1 4-year stretch of summer hell. That's all I remember. I'm like, when did that happen in that span of 4 years? I can't even remember. You can find us on X at Real Backlash, our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live at the end of our show. $10 and up will be read. I'm sorry, guys. The show's just getting too long. We have too much support from you guys, but we will read $10 and up super chats at the end. Send those to thebacklash.net/super chat. Sub to us on YouTube, on Rumble. On YouTube, we are at Real Backlash. On Rumble, we are Backlash Podcast. Find us on Instagram. That is real.backlash. TikTok at Backlash Pod. All different for your convenience. That's why we do what we do. Thank you so much. We want to give a thanks to our sponsors, Atlas Bullion, Premier, Gold and Silver Dealer, Idaho Tallow, skincare with no endocrine disruptors, and Antelope Hill, the people that will publish anything.
Literally anything.
They're the best. It was such a big news week. It's just incredible week to week what happens. And I heard Nick Fuentes say a few weeks ago, like, no one's going to be talking about Charlie in a few weeks. I'm like, that's true. And this week, I wanted to prep this Netanyahu story, and I was thinking, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm tired of talking about this. Isn't that sad? Isn't that depressing that the news cycle turns over and this horrible thing that happened to Charlie is just one political thing that happened? It seems like we've lost our humanity, but that is the nature of the news cycle. We will briefly mention it. Well, it's not really brief. We're going to talk in depth about that.
I had a crazy dream that Nick Fuentes got assassinated last night.
And
then when I woke up, like, my wife and I had a hard time like remembering if that was real life or not, because shit's been
Did that
it's been so
happen?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird dream though.
Ugh.
Not
Those
good.
are the worst. You wake up and you're like, what is happening?
Right.
So we're going to be talking about Charlie's letter to Netanyahu, Israel trying to take over social media, AI's effects on jobs. It's going to be a great show. Should we get right into it? Do you have any bants? Anything you guys want to say before we get going?
Got a couple of letters.
Oh, I wanted to read this.
We're going to read. Do we want to read them
Let's read it now. Let's
early?
Let's
or
read
at
it
the
early.
end? And by the way, if you want to send us mail, you can do that at P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho, 83877. And it is up on the website, by the way.
Oh
What do
my
we got here?
gosh.
What is that?
This is amazing. Have you seen this?
What the?
This is kids' art. Look at that.
What?
Dave, that looks just like you. Look at that.
That's really good.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, I know who sent this. And his mom is awesome. Let's read what it says. To Rebecca from the Backlash and Emmeline from the park. That's my daughter. Hi, I'm Will. My mom knows you. We know you too.
Getting fan mail from 5-year-olds.
Hey, I don't know. That seems like a
This is
7 or 8 year
wonderful.
old. That makes my day. Thank you so much, little guy.
Hey, Netanyahu, you want to get with the younger kids? We need some money. Help.
Oh, is this from the guy that
Kidding.
sent the open after
He sent
reading
another
part?
thing. Yeah, you got to
Okay,
read
okay.
that one first.
Dude, the Backlash, sometimes talent, knowledge, hard work, and dedication are not enough. I'm saying this because I travel to Cleveland, Ohio once every 21 days on Interstate 71 North. I'm wondering if the way to make a podcast successful is to stick it in the public's face. See the enclosed photos. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, we should get a billboard. Tim Katz has a billboard.
Yep. Pretty sure my dad bought a billboard on that same highway in Cleveland back
Wow,
in the 1990s.
we should talk about this in the next production meeting.
Well, I mean, we could do that. We should do that. Last time I checked on billboard pricing, it was about $1,200 for a month. And that's like up here on I-90. I mean, I'm sure that, mileage may vary depending on where, but it would be.
What about the Dave Riley swimsuit calendar? I really thought that idea was scalable.
Speedos only.
Well, maybe we could do that as a fundraiser for a billboard.
Would you do that?
No.
That would be so funny.
Can't AI just do it? We'll just have AI do it. Or better yet, we'll just have like the George Costanza picture, just 12 different times.
Yeah, really.
You've seen that?
I've seen it. Yeah, just put your face on top of it. I don't know. It might pass.
There it is.
Yep.
Right here. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Imagine a calendar.
Thank you for your fan mail. We really appreciate it. That's P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho, 83877. What?
It might catch on.
And then
That's
I've
all I'm
got
saying.
this. I'm like super proud. My daughter started school less than a month ago, and she can already write the word cat, apparently. I saw another one upstairs on the refrigerator. It says mom.
Oh.
And then randomly on Monday, she counted to 12 in French.
Well, those nuns are beating her.
Yeah. No, but it's good. So there is good schools. All these people that, it's not the kids, it's the schools.
Yeah, totally.
And, what I've seen, she hasn't even been in school for a whole month. And her demeanor has changed. She's doing great. She's counting to 12 in French. It's amazing.
School is-
These kids are sponges. They
is
will
often good.
learn anything incredibly quickly, very quickly.
Yeah. And they listen to you. Did I tell you about Rug Island?
Yeah.
I didn't tell this on the show. Did I?
Did you say it on the show?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Just say it again.
I'm repeat storytelling. I'm like an old person now. I had a rug drying on our porch, and my daughter was like, "Mom, come play with me on Rug Island. It's very safe there. There are no black people." My 5-year-old.
No, but I did see the video. No, we were talking about this at the festival over the weekend. But no, I did see, you sent me a video of your eldest daughter asking your next eldest daughter if she trusts the government.
Yeah.
Like, do you trust the government? The government?
And my baby's like, no. I'm in the car like, yes. There's only a little amount of time that you can absolutely propagandize your children. You have to get in there. You got to do it correctly. All right, let's get into the news. Do you want to pull up one?
Well, hold on. Before we get started with anything, we have to wish a Gemar Chatmiva Tova from the U.S. Central Command.
You are too good at that.
It is Yom Kippur, and the government is shut down. It is no longer working, and we are still fucking tweeting shit out about Jewish holidays.
Yes, indeed.
So, didn't want to let an episode go by without marking a Gemar Chatmiva Tova.
Why does this come so naturally to you? Chutzpah.
It's what happens when you grow up eating lox and bagels. In like, Cleveland, New York. Going to Carnegie Deli, getting a big corned beef on rye with
Take
a loaf
what
of
you
bread.
want from that, guys.
I will post my 23andMe later if I need to.
I know. It's just sometimes Italian physiognomy is a little bit confusing. That's all I'm saying. It's just, you guys are a little greasy. You're a little loud.
Yeah?
You're, suspiciously good at saying Hebrew words.
Not
Speaking
beating
of
the
Hebrew
stereotypes.
words, can you pull up one? So apparently an unnamed source, which makes us somewhat suspicious, has sent a letter that Charlie wrote on May 2nd to Netanyahu that Netanyahu had pulled from in his commentary on Charlie's death, I think on September 11th or September 12th. And it was sent to the New York Post, which is also suspicious. We've been talking about the New York Post. I don't know about
Isn't
this.
that owned by News Corp?
I think so, yeah. I wanted to get into this a little bit. We could talk about whether or not we think it's real or fake. So let me read a little bit. The letter is a significant part of the ongoing conversation among conservatives about Kirk's views on Israel and whether they were changing before he died. Kirk calls on Netanyahu to engage in effective messaging, showing Israel as a close ally of America. It would have been nice to see an Israeli plane with the Star of David arrive in the U.S. full of supplies after a hurricane, Kirk said. Has Israel offered any assistance to the U.S. insofar as technology to protect our border or with the missile defense shield President Trump has discussed? He also said consumers of social media are aware of the billions in supplies we send to Israel, but they're less aware of what America gets in return. He said that everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. Then he gives a 7-point instructive manual regarding how Israel can improve their image with America's youth, including targeting social media platforms. So when I heard about this initially, before I had read the letter, I was seeing a lot of people say, like, this is obvious evidence that he's turned against Israel. And then I read it and I was like, this looks like Zionist propaganda to me, which is what Cameron said to me. So, I mean, we do know that Netanyahu has implemented some of these policies, but he had implemented some of these policies that predates this letter. And we're going to talk about social media influence in a second. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is real?
The letter?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the fact that the New York Post has published it, TPUSA has basically confirmed it. There's been no pushback from the Israeli government on it. I have no reason to believe that the letter is illegitimate or anything like that.
I don't know.
What does Candace say? That's what I want to know.
Really?
Well, that's just it. I mean, like she initially came out and was like, oh, see, like he wrote this anti-Israel letter, and then the letter came out, and then she's just basically been pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really back up her telling of the story.
Not at all.
Not at all. Now, I mean, there is a way that you can read it, I think, in a tone of voice, like where, like, if you imagine Charlie's actually pissed and he's trying to cut ties with Israel, like you can read it and have that vibe.
No way.
But it's not really.
If you're really trying to cut ties with Israel and you think that their mission is demonic, you're not going to be like, here's how you fix your public image internationally.
Well, I get that, but I mean, there is something, I mean, there's just like things about it that are really weird. Like over here, right? This paragraph. I strongly suggest Israel not always depend on subcontracting their information war efforts to surrogates in America. I urge, Mr. Prime Minister, I urge you to revamp your information warfare strategy from top to bottom. Sometimes the impression is given that Israel thinks everyone hates them, so why care about winning over hearts and minds? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. But
but then he says, if there's any truth to this impression, I urge you to consider that social media and podcasts are where you fight for the hearts and minds of the younger generation. Obviously, all this negative Israel propaganda and social media easily translate into pro-Hamas, free Palestine sentiment on many college campuses. I mean, I don't know how you could read that and not be like, oh, well, he wants, and then he says, I love Israel. I'm doing this for my love of the Jewish people.
I don't think that the narrative that he was, breaking away from Israel. I don't buy that at all. But at the same time, the fact that he's admitting basically that Israel is subcontracting an aspect of their war to American firms, that's huge. And especially in the wake of this new press conference that we've seen with Netanyahu getting together, talking about opening up an eighth front to their war. They've already got a 7-front war going on. Now they're opening an eighth front, and that eighth front is
us.
It is Gen Z. It is social media in America. It's American media, and it's damning.
It's American online media because nobody cares about legacy. What I'm saying
is a lot of the stuff that we've been alleging, we've been called anti-Semites for alleging that, Israel is controlling the narratives that we're seeing in the media and on social media, and that they're paying Americans to push Israeli talking points. We've been saying that, and for a decade, we've all been getting canceled and called anti-Semites for that. And here's Charlie Kirk laying it all out in a letter to Prime Minister Netanyahu, and it's exactly the way that we've been saying that it's been happening. So I take the letter as a W, actually read the thing, because it proves our point. It proves our position.
Yes, to be fair, it was written on May 2nd. A lot can happen in 4 months.
I guess.
Yeah, 4.5 months. Yep.
Yeah.
Cameron, anyway. What do you think?
Well, so I think Larry Ellison and Barry Weiss got the memo about rapid response.
Right.
We'll get into more of that in just a second, I suppose. Look, I think that it's very odd that Charlie Kirk was engaged in writing letters to Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that what Charlie Kirk has been doing since TPUSA got started in 2012? Seems like that's the case. It seems like this entire TPUSA phenomenon is a total fraud. If this letter is legitimate, as Dave said, it seems to confirm our worst fears. There doesn't appear to be any remorse, any empathy, any shift in his mindset whatsoever regarding what's happening in Israel. There's no curiosity about what's actually happening in Gaza either. It's simply, we're hearing a lot of pushback in these particular cases. Give me some ammunition that I can fling back. That seems pretty morally reprehensible to me. If this is legitimate. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is very bizarre.
Yeah.
But it seems like the Israelis and the Jewish power structure in the United States put a premium on TPUSA. I'm not all that convinced that TPUSA was the gateway to the youth either. But I do think that regardless, we're in that feedback loop. And so it doesn't much matter whether it's legitimate or not. The dirty hands are the Israeli hands. Put a premium on.
Sorry about that.
Did you guys see this video of, what is his name? Xavier DeRusso? This homosexual black guy with blonde hair.
No, I missed it.
He is it's two. He's obviously a paid Netanyahu social media propagandist. This is part 1 of 1,000 of the Eighth Front.
Oh my gosh.
This is unreal. We've got to watch the whole thing.
Imagine supporting people who start wars just to lose the wars so they can cry about it and then try it all again.
You must see anti-Semites are literally obsessed with Jews. Now walk with me. While you must see anti-Semites are stacking eviction notices, Jews are out here stacking up businesses.
Jews control all the industries. Maybe if you spent more time taking notes from successful people, you wouldn't have to spend your nights and weekends spreading hate from your anonymous account with an anime profile picture.
Do you work as hard as Jews? Do you network like Jews? No, because you're too busy cheering on a group of musty terrorists who smell like dirty earring backs. And if we're gonna keep it real, you're really mad because your income is giving side hustle.
Period.
How you gonna hate from outside, Shabbat? You can't even get in.
Oh my God. This can't work for anybody. Obviously, that was scripted.
Yes.
I mean, do you think they're getting paid per video? What are they? How are they even doing this?
Well, yeah. I mean, I had just posted about this actually. It has come out recently that these pro-Israel influencers are getting paid $7,000 per post, and since, of course, there were 2 influencers in that one post, probably what, 14K? 14K for that little video.
Ironically, that is a side hustle.
Yo, Israel, can you hook a nigga up? Please, I need a new deck. I've got a blank area in the back. We're ready to add a deck onto the house.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give us any money.
3 Israel posts I will make, and you can pay me money.
Okay.
And that'll be fine. And of course, my audience will know that it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
that's as long as
let's
they
give
know,
it a try.
right?
Let's give it a try.
There's another one. We have Deborah Lee. They're never going to call us. Deborah Lee masquerading as an American despite being a Zionist Jew. This is 3. Let's play it a 1506.
So something I would like to raise, which was actually my first published paper, was how you and the Likud party are cut from the same ideological cloth as Trump and the GOP in America. And so specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, who's my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Wait, 15. They have some good analysis on this.
Oh, so you want to keep it playing?
Yeah, just for 20 minutes.
Is this woman who calls herself a Jewish American princess, is she a Christian evangelical?
No, I think she's Jewish. Her last name is actually Schwartzbin, which isn't exactly a Gentile name, but she just goes by Deborah Leah because that's more influencer-y. And, she went on the requisite propaganda tour to Israel, denied the existence of a Palestinian state.
That's good.
In my engagement with her,
Is that good?
Yeah.
She came.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, all these people, this can't be an effective strategy, right? And they must know it's not an effective strategy because Larry Ellison bought TikTok. So TikTok has been where a lot of the youth is getting radicalized with this short form content. And it's been very effective. And I think that the Trump administration and Netanyahu started to freak out a little bit about how badly Israel is being portrayed to America's youth. Can you pull up 4? Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, the second richest man in the world and the single biggest private donor of the IDF, who has referred to the state of Israel as his own. He has direct stakes in a head-of-spinning galaxy of news, television, Hollywood media companies, mainly through recent Paramount Skydance Corporation takeover. And I think it was Blumenthal that mentioned that they're launching some October 7th propaganda series on HBO. A mega conglomerate now run by his son, David Ellison, who's reportedly on the cusp of making vigilantly pro-Israel journalist Barry Weiss a top exec at newly acquired CBS. Ellison the Elder, is also a major stakeholder in X and Tesla. They're not going to be able to get this under control.
No.
They're not. I mean, the youth is... They are smart and they are on it and they know what's going on. They know when they're being propagandized, and the anti-Semitism thing, it's a runaway train at this point.
Oh yeah. No, it's over. It is over. They have functionally lost.
Yeah.
And anything that they do at this point to try and clamp down on it after the fact is only going to confirm in the minds of these young people exactly what they already believe.
Yep. Yeah. Do you want to pull up
Good
this
luck.
Torba tweet real quick?
Good luck.
We do have Netanyahu talking about this.
Yes.
It's 4. So Torba says, study this video carefully. He's very openly broadcasting all of their next moves. 1, TikTok belongs to them now. Expect mass censorship and rigging. Your favorite influencer is already owned by them. Expect them to start shilling for them. They will attempt to buy more influencers. Many will take the deal. Those who don't will be made an example of. And they're coming for X and Elon next. They claim he is a friend and they will do what they want, and he will do what they want. Thus, you can expect censorship to return here unless Elon is ready to cross the Rubicon with these demons. Let's watch a little bit of this video.
This is so funny. I call them the woke Reich. Oh, I'm so fun. And then he sits back in his chair. Oh,
Waiting.
We'll watch it.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States, that is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that.
Good
but we have
Lord.
to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now.
Good Lord.
We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpart? Yes.
Is this the chutzpah that you speak of?
This is in fact chutzpah. And it's just incredible to me that they're just so out in the open and
Just talking about it. Why is he
we
doing
are opening a new front of our war. It's okay. It's a compressor on the microphone.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
I've listened to you guys' criticisms about our mic volume, so we're trying to.
I've got the compression turned all the way up. So you should be able to hear me when I whisper.
Okay.
And you should be able to hear me when I yell.
Okay.
And it should be around the same.
Oh, good. Okay.
Anyway, the point is that they're going to war with us and they're admitting it on stream. This is incredible. So we're at war. In case you haven't, newsflash, the war is on American soil now. And it's being fought on social media. It is a weapon of war.
It's incredible.
I had to hammer that one home.
It's incredible to hear him say this because it's so unnecessarily revealing. And we always think about Jews in Israel being subversive, being sneaky. So watching him say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight this front through propaganda in the youth on social media. It's just incredible to watch him. Cameron, why do you think that he laid it out like this? This might be a massive error in judgment.
So a few things. What you're seeing is the unmasking of the Zionist character. And that's what you see from Netanyahu. That's what you saw in those influencer clips earlier. To some degree, that's what you saw in Kirk's letter to Netanyahu. And that unmasking shows a condescension, an arrogance, a sense of supremacy and entitlement. That is not new. This is how these people have always behaved. It's really how they feel about the United States, which they regard as sort of their piggy bank to provide them with the men and material to do with whatever they please, to fight their wars however they want. But now things have changed. The landscape has completely changed. If you go back to the mid-20th century and look at the top Fortune 100 companies, they're almost all replaced, right? There's only a few companies. In fact, I think ExxonMobil is one of the very few that's still in that group. Why? Because the landscape of the marketplace is dynamic. And this is a point I've tried to convey to our audience and anybody else who cares to listen. When things change, you'll see the true dexterity of the person you're dealing with. Can they adapt? Can they assess the new environment? Netanyahu just explained that he can't do that he thinks that the solution of the problem is to double down on the misdirection, the deception, the lying, the propaganda. That's not going to work. CBS president Fred Friendly once said that we have the master switch, right? And Fred Friendly, like Netanyahu and the rest, is all part of the same cohort that assumes, that arrogates to themselves a certain power over what you think and what you do. That is a fantasy. That is a delusion. just as the Israeli army has not asserted dominance in the Middle East, something that I think they are convinced that they were going to do a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when this whole fiasco started in October, they have failed. And the only way forward for Israel to survive, the only way for them to prevail in this, intact as a country, as a legitimate state, if you want to call it that, is by withdrawing from Gaza, by cutting some kind of a deal with the Arab population for a two-state solution, by disbanding this campaign to fight everybody and anybody in the Middle East, and including this propaganda war in the United States and beyond. That is impossible.
Oh, no, they'll
Just
never.
as if you read through Kirk's letter, there's no remorse, there's no awareness, there's no recalibration. It's double down, double down, double down, double down, double down. Sort of like a gambling addict at a casino that just keeps doubling down until they've gone broke. That is what's happening to Netanyahu. His army is exhausted. The Israeli economy is fragile. His international support has collapsed. Israel is losing, and buying TikTok isn't going to change that. And while I appreciate the concern that a lot of people like Andrew Torba and others have expressed, they too don't seem to recognize that the landscape has changed, that everybody has seen too much, and now you can't unsee what you've seen. So the Israelis and the Zionists are guilty until proven innocent, and they're not going to prove themselves innocent.
No, they seem unable to do that.
You know what this whole thing reminds me of? This, like, you know, Netanyahu coming out and all these influencers and all the articles about it. It reminds me of this moment. It reminds me of, like, Judea declares war on Germany at the front page of the newspaper. It's like, you know, we've had war declared on us here in America, and everybody can see it. And Cameron's right. We've got, like, innocent or guilty until proven innocent. I mean, it's like Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. Boom, Israel did it.
Right.
Where did that come from?
That's right.
Hello?
You know, Michael Yon posted on his Twitter a questionnaire regarding Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, and the question came back like 90% that most people following Michael Yon on Twitter think that it's the Israelis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a South African official of some kind who was also recently killed. I don't know if he was killed or if he died mysteriously. And in the press, everybody thinks it's the Israelis as well. I was reading some comments on Instagram. So everything has changed, but the Israelis, they don't understand that. And I think the Jewish power structure in the United States does not understand that either. One other point about Kirk's letter, and part of the reason I'm suspicious of it, is that he laid out some boilerplates regarding what they should do. He said the Israelis need to create a rapid response team, and he mentioned the White House Group 47, I guess it's called. He said they need pro-Israel experts who fact-check everything, and they need an Israel Truth Network. Ladies and gentlemen, they have all of those things. They have complete monolithic control of the corporate media, of the media industrial complex as we know it, as we understand it. It doesn't matter. The game is over. They've lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do have some interesting things about the story too. Israel's Eighth Front War on Information in America. This is a list of pro-Israel influencers that have a collective reach of more than 18 million people. So if you are following these people, be aware that you are following unregistered foreign agents.
Oh, Emily Saves America, that whore.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who most of these people are, do
Shay
you?
Zaba. I've never heard of these people. And it's mostly women, too. You know, why is it
Brooke
these women?
Goldstein. Look at that face.
Ugh. Emily Talento.
Emily Saves America
Anna Faulkner.
and the people that we talked about are literally the only people in here that I know.
Yeah,
This
and
is not
Cam
gonna work.
Higby. Cam Higby. We know of him. This
Yikes.
guy. They're not sending their best.
The only other thing I just wanted to briefly say, because I've given this a lot of thought, and I'm seeing a change culturally among people online. I see evidence for it anecdotally as well. You know, the United States, it's been said, and I think probably the modern world as we understand it, has been described as the microwave society, right? We want results and we want them now. But I do see a shift, and that shift seems to be all of a sudden people seem to care about the process. Now, I've always been somebody, and if you're listening to me, you follow my content, I emphasize the process. Results are things that we cannot control. But if you take the proper steps, if you're disciplined, if you eat a healthy diet, et cetera, ultimately you'll win if the process is sound. And increasingly, people are starting to care about the process. What I mean by that is people are starting to ask questions about where people's money comes from, how they acquired stardom, how they got as physically fit in the gym. This is a cultural shift. All of a sudden, people are starting to care more about the legitimacy of what's actually happening than they are the result. This is powerful, right? Because the Jewish money that flows, it's not about the truth. It's not about result. It's not about the process. It's not about what's really intrinsically good. It's about results, right? It's about how you get the clicks, how you make the money, et cetera. But now it seems as though that glitz is losing its luster. And that is a very good sign, I think, not just for the United States, maybe for the world in general, that we're beginning to care more about the actual substance of things, less so the results.
Did you put this up already?
Not quite.
That's just an incredible image.
I did a little bit. This comes to us from AF Post and was published just yesterday, folks. Just yesterday. Amidst all of this unfolding about Israel losing the youth and all this, the White House publishes a photograph of Donald Trump with Chabad Lubavitch. And of course, there's many famous people in here that you should recognize. There's Jared Kushner and Jonathan Miller, the based Hebrew Hammer. Of course,
Miller?
That's no. Stephen, who did I say?
You said Jonathan?
Is there a difference?
Am
Stephen
I wrong
Miller.
about this? Yeah.
No, Steve, the bald Hebrew Hammer guy that's going to deport all the brown people. That's
we
in
got
there.
Lutnick. Who else is there?
We got Harry Lutnick in here. And then, is that Rabbi Lifshitz?
I have no idea.
I think that might be Rabbi Lifshitz. I'm not sure. And then, of course, we got like one Korean woman, I guess.
There's
I don't
Paula
know.
White. I think she's in there too.
Yeah, she might be. Is that the white chick on the end here?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's her. But so you've got this going on, and of course, try denying the allegations that the Jews control the White House or the American government while you post photographs like this. But
they dispense with that, right? If you go back to that video you just played featuring those influencers, what did they say? They said the Jews control all the industries, right?
Yeah.
So they have dispensed with any facade. It's over now. Now it's a flex. And what that picture is a demonstration of their power. And again, that tells you that their star is descending. It's not ascending. When you have to tell people how great you are, when you have to flex, you're probably reacting rather than acting. And that's what we're beginning to see. That's good.
And some confirmation on that, not to get it too far outside, but this just happened about 30 minutes before we went live. The FBI has officially cut ties with the Anti-Defamation League. Kash Patel writes, Jim Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful spy ops on Americans. That era is over. This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs.
The hell they won't, though. This is just CYA backtracking for image preservation.
Sure.
They're so deeply embedded. They're so inextricably intertwined that there's just no way they can divorce in a meaningful way.
I would agree with that. I mean, this is a show me, don't tell me moment for sure. But it is funny that I actually did a piece with Harrison Smith on InfoWars about 5 years ago now, literally called The Watchdogs. If you go to band.video, it should pop up, where we went over precisely this angle of it. The ADL actually got caught spying on Americans by the police and fined for that. And a lot of this push.
He's also passing the buck, too, because the FBI spies on us for all different reasons.
Oh, sure.
Where we are being monitored.
But, the ADL, they might not be fooling about this one, though, because you'll remember the ADL's glossary for extremism, which faced, there it is, backlash.
Ah.
Oh, it faced some backlash, did they? Because they listed 1,000 entities. One of the entities that they listed was TPUSA. So I think that there is an angle of this where they are cutting ties with them because of how they handled the TPUSA stuff. and they put them under a microscope. But I mean, hey, if it is true that the FBI is no longer working with the ADL, then we should be primed for our people going out, start making organizations, start ground game.
No, but they're still monitoring us.
They might still be monitoring us, but if they don't have the ear and the levers of power,
do you remember
the
the
FBI,
tenant fiasco? Do you guys all remember this? With Tim Pool and Matt Christians, everybody got embroiled in this tenant fiasco, which had no connection to Israel. I get a message from my accountant, and he knew the entire situation. And he's like, I just want to let you know that all of your correspondence, all of your personal correspondence are being monitored by the FBI. And I was not part of Tenet. I had nothing. My only thing was that I had a relationship, a business relationship, a longstanding business relationship with somebody that worked at Tenet. And still all of my private correspondence being monitored by the FBI.
Nice. Do you tell them hello? And
I would text people and be like, hello, FBI.
I like to pretend like my handler is named Norman. And I think he has a pocket protector.
I'm sure he does.
Big spectacles over at the NSA.
That's outrageous, though. I mean, he can talk about the ADL all he wants, but, an average citizen like me getting monitored for some kind of relationship to somebody that ended up not doing anything illegal, that's astounding.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the situation is the same for a lot of people online.
There's still the Southern Poverty Law Center, People for American Way.
What about all those people? Right Wing Watch,
Yeah, but to be fair, none of them have had the level of closeness with the FBI that the ADL has had. And a lot of that did, by the way, really kick off here in Coeur d'Alene in 1984,
Yes.
just before the Fort Smith sedition trials of 1986. But that's for another show.
Should we talk about this military meeting, this confounding military meeting? Hegseth is such a tool. I don't just like watching him talk to all of these generals. He's a reservist. He's so young. Isn't he 44? Like the balls on this guy to speak to an audience like this.
We have real clips for this, right?
Actually, no, I was just going to read some excerpts. So if you want to play that, then we can talk about it.
I've got a real clip.
An appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year. Every year of service.
Geez, this audio sucks.
Terrible. Yeah.
Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
So anyway, he declared war on fat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
How do we have like $1 trillion budget and we can't get a microphone that works without interference?
Seriously.
Please, guys, come on.
So
do you need
during this meeting, Trump also said we should use some of the dangerous cities, can you pull up 5, as training grounds for our military. We're under invasion from within, no different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. And after calling hundreds of military leaders and their top advisors around the world to the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Hegseth largely focused on long-used talking points that painted a picture of a military hamstrung by woke policies. He said military leaders should do the honorable thing and resign if they don't like his new approach. I think that he was trying to use talking points that the average slop talking points that everybody finds appealing to gain momentum for the military. But who is going to join at this point in time? Why would anybody join?
Young white men.
Why would they do that?
They're marketing to.
I don't understand. And I think that this war on generals' physique, by the way, who cares? They've done their time. It's
I care. They should be able to do a couple push-ups.
I mean, some of them are so old.
Fat slobs.
He's trying to get them to resign.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about.
That's not a bad thing.
But why would he do this? They're going to usher in like a pro-Israel young group of people.
Yeah, but we know that the youth don't support Israel. We know that the youth doesn't support Israel. And there was a lot of people that were brought on by Hegseth and others at the Pentagon that were anti-Israel, and they got booted within the first couple weeks of the administration when they started, coming out saying, hey, we should probably restrain Israel here. And then remember, they got fired. So if they're going to try to restaff the army with a bunch of young people, you're going to get groypers.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of groypers.
I don't know, man. Why would groypers bother outside of the perks?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. You're probably not going to get a lot of, ideologically, you wouldn't be getting groypers to sign up. You would be getting evangelical, like Zionist types.
I know you have some theories on why they would do this.
Well, I mean, I think we're gearing up for war. It's clear that we're gearing up for war. And I don't know if it's going to be against Iran, which, that's
But
heating
why?
up again.
But why the extensive discussion of a domestic strategy?
Well, Cameron has talked at length about the idea of going to war with Mexico against the drug cartels. And then I've got people in my ear that are saying that it's China, that we're going to be doing a pivot to China. If you look at J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, and the Israel skeptical wing of the CIA, one of the reasons why they want the United States to disengage from the Middle East is so that we can fully engage and pivot to China.
Yeah.
And so we allow Israel to handle its own security. We're no longer bothered with that. So now we can focus directly on China, which is essentially anybody that tells you that we're better than China is lying to you. They are at least a peer, if not superior to us when it comes to the military.
I know what Cameron's going to say. He's going to start with, I disagree with you.
Probably. Let's hear it. Look at this smile.
I disagree with you, Dave. Okay. We live in a time in which there's just a lot of conspiracy theory. There's a lot of conjecture. Everybody has an opinion about everything. And I understand that. But this is pretty clear what's going on here, in my judgment. The U.S. military is a mess. It's in big trouble. And this is something I've made content about for 2 years, in part because I was in the service. My father was in the Army for a long time. I still have many friends that are in the service. It's mostly in the Navy, which is the branch that I was in. I would say there's three basic problems that the military is facing. The first is deindustrialization. So the lack of industrial capacity is egregious, and just a proxy to understand how out of control things really are. If you go back to the 1980s, the U.S. Navy had a 600-ship Navy. That was part of the Reagan buildup in order to sort of flex against the Soviet Union. Today, we have maybe 200 functional ships, the vast majority of which are very old and decrepit. If you look specifically at the carrier fleet that we've got, of the 11 carriers, only 3 of them were manufactured or commissioned after 2000. And some of them, I think the Nimitz was commissioned in 1975.
Good
1975.
Lord.
Okay. That's just a proxy. But at the same time, even though things have changed, we don't have the surge capacity. The mission that the Reagan Navy deployed forces to meet is exactly the same mission that we've got today. So you have a third the size of the force, probably smaller, without the industrial capability, without the surge capacity, without the human capital, meaning the engineers, meaning the private contractors, et cetera, to actually service this. You've got a sort of military organization that's crumbling. So deindustrialization is the first problem. The second is doctrine. And this is going to play a decisive role if we do, in fact, go to war with Iran. You go back to the summertime, we did, I want to say 1, maybe 2 shows about this. And I was pretty vociferous. I said, if we go to war with Iran, we will lose. And a lot of people said in the comments, oh, it's impossible. We have the greatest military in the world. You hear this as a talking point all the time. And that's just not the case. We don't. We are, I think, very much a shadow of what we once were, in part because warfare has changed, right? So Iran has tens of thousands of cruise missiles, some of which are hypersonic. They can shoot down pretty much everything that we've got. And we're floating on the ocean with a 20th century force that's largely a relic of the Second World War. That's our organizational structure. That's the way we approach everything. The National Security Act of 1947, which established the Air Force and basically created the branches, that's what we have today, all right? So very much like the Fed or the LBJ Great Society programs, these programs are obsolete. The branches are old. They need to be reorganized. The whole government needs to be reorganized, something we've talked about before. That's true of the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, probably the National Security Council. All of these things need to be reorganized. And then thirdly, you've got a problem of diversity. And just to be very specific, I think over 20% of personnel in the U.S. military today, and we've got about 1 million people total, they're females. Over 20%. That's a big problem. That's a readiness problem for all kinds of reasons, right? We are not prepared to fight people. And then, of course, you've got a large percentage of POCs. So what the Trump administration is doing is they are making an effort to reorganize the force. The problem is, and you sort of indicated this earlier, Rebecca, is that Pete Hegseth is a facsimile of Donald Trump. He's Fox News tested and Israeli approved. He is not qualified to do the job that he's doing. He doesn't really understand his role, doesn't really understand a lot of the dynamics that I just mentioned. And so it's a publicity stunt to sort of virtue signal that we're moving in a different direction when the root and branch problems go unaddressed. This is not about cosmetic facelifts. We need open heart surgery. And that's going to demand a complete overhaul of the way the entire defense establishment works. And that extends into the procurement process with a lot of companies like Boeing, these sort of state-owned military corporations that are obsolescent, that frankly need to be gutted. And we need a complete overhaul. That's what the Trump administration is flirting with. But they don't have the vision, the executive leadership. They don't have the cadre in place to go in there and really uproot the Defense Department. And just a historical precedent so people understand what we're dealing with. In the mobilization ahead of World War II, George Marshall, who was chief of staff of the Army, he fired, I think, 30 to 40 generals. And then I think he relieved something like 600 officers of various ranks, preparing the United States Army for that war. Why did he do that? Because we weren't ready to fight anybody. Now, regarding Dave's speculation that this is to fight China, certainly that's what the neocons want. That's what the Zionists want. That's probably what the defense establishment wants. So, yeah, I think it's a legitimate concern. However, what Trump wants, and I think he's true to his word in this case, he does want to tackle the inner city violence and the criminality. And that's why ICE has gradually stepped up. Again, the problem is not the spirit of what Trump says. It's always the execution. And in this regard, his administration is just not up to it for the reasons I mentioned, in addition to the fact that he's sabotaged, subverted, redirected, however you want to declare it, into these sort of conflicts all over the world, whether it's Ukraine or it's Iran or what have you. All that is to say, no, this is a largely domestic effort. But I do think that we're going to go to war with Iran. I think that's coming. I know we're going to talk more about that in a second.
Yeah. Right. I mean, do either of you think that this might have been, albeit a superficial, but an attempt to legitimize our military so we will be taken seriously when Israel inevitably strikes Iran again, which I think is imminent?
No, I don't think so. Look, we have serious problems in the U.S. military. Donald Trump, I think, is aware of that. He must be to some degree. And this is an effort to deal with that. This is not to virtue signal to Iran. Remember, I firmly believe that Donald Trump does not want a war with Iran. This is what Netanyahu and the Zionists want. He's being forced into that. And Trump does what he always does. He tries to bluff his way out of it. I don't think he's going to succeed this time. I think he's being backed into the corner. No, I think Trump is focused primarily on this immigration effort. And frankly, that's where his focus should be. The problem, again, is not the spirit of what he's doing. It's the execution. He just doesn't have the executive capability to do it.
Right. Let's pull up 6. This is Alistair Crook on Judge Knapp a few days ago talking about Iran being the head of the snake for Israel.
This is the big sell. This is the key sell that he's going to produce here. Yeah, we're all talking about Gaza and about a 21-point plan that supposedly is going to resolve things. But I believe there's quite a lot of evidence to support it, that the main topic that he wants to discuss, not necessarily all the time with Trump, because Trump doesn't do details, but what he wants to discuss is the coordination for a war on Iran. That's what he's coming. And so, yes, he's saying the job needs to be finished. This is his message. You know, we've destroyed Syria, we destroyed Hezbollah, we're destroying Hamas, we're damaging the Yemenis. But, you know, the last peg, the head of the snake, as he would put it, is Iran. And
I think that explains his increasingly erratic behavior, Netanyahu. Can we pull up 7? Because Netanyahu's position is so weakened on the world stage. He has less support than ever. People are walking out on him, quite literally.
Hold on, that reminds me of this too, which I wanted to pull up real quick. This was a day ago. I didn't think it was in the outline. The Houthis have said that they're going to start targeting our oil ships. I don't know if you'd seen that. But yeah, here's the Max Blumenthal.
And there are rumors filtering out of the White House that Trump sees Netanyahu as politically weakened. And we've talked for months and months, months about how any ceasefire, however temporary, I mean, if it lasts for 60 days or more, would unravel Netanyahu's coalition. And Smotrich and Ben-Gvir have already condemned this deal, and Ben-Gvir has condemned Netanyahu for apologizing to Qatar for the recent attack, which obviously he was forced to do as part of this deal. So he's weaker than ever.
And will his government collapse?
Is that it?
No.
It's possible. I can't really make an assessment now. I think his government could collapse upon implementation if he actually forces the military out in a way that does not provide the religious nationalist settler camp with the new Gush Katif style settlements that they're seeking. Remember, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, said that the final solution for Gaza is actually a real estate deal, and it's going to be Jews only real estate.
Yikes. But there is emerging evidence. This comes from Redacted. This is clip 8. There's emerging evidence that the second phase of the war with Iran is absolutely imminent. Let's play to 147, please.
Well, is the second phase of the war with Iran coming? Russia just released a pretty stunning statement. According to Russia's Ministry of Defense, new strikes against Iran are being planned and they are coming. Insiders in D.C. are telling Redacted that this is the case, that this is actively being discussed and ready to move into an action phase now. And just like that, Bibi arrived at the White House for his 4th visit in 8 months. Bibi, the name Bibi makes him sound like just a friendly little fella, huh? Mm-hmm. So he arrives in Washington, D.C., his 4th visit in 8 months. As Steve Bannon pointed out, normally there'd be like a whole color guard welcoming, him.
4th visit in 8 months.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the first time Steve Bannon said he's ever seen that. There was really no welcome dog and pony show for him. And the last time this happened, it happened just days later. Israel and the United States launched part 1 of the war against Iran. So part 2 is coming. Also overnight, a wave of U.S. air tankers have been deployed to Europe. Again, the last time that this happened was right before the attacks on Iran. 8 U.S. Air Force tankers are on their way to Europe. Again, the last time that this happened was right before the attacks. Again, this could be for exercise purposes, as Zero Hedge points out. Also, today, Bibi, Trump meeting discussing
the
end of the Gaza war.
And then we might as well talk about the Iran snapback sanctions, which is 9. Just real quick before we discuss this.
Yes.
It was inevitably going to happen again. And a big thing that just happened over the weekend was the snapback sanctions. And these are UN Security Council sanctions that were lifted on Iran in 2015 when they signed the Iran nuclear deal, that the UK, France, and Germany triggered these sanctions to be reimposed. Essentially, they did this because they were set to expire in October. But they did this essentially on behalf of the U.S., and this is a sign that the Trump administration is not really interested in a deal in diplomacy with Iran, because they just put a whole nother big obstacle in the way of any deal, these UN Security Council sanctions. And Russia why I wasn't surprised to see this Russian statement about the potential attack on Iran. Russia came out very strongly against these snapback sanctions, and Russia and China tried to stop them at the UN Security Council, but that vote failed. And they basically said that they don't recognize these sanctions, that these sanctions are illegal. So it goes to show Russia's probably not going to follow them, because it does include an arms embargo on Iran.
I mean, they're going to move forward with this. They are.
Yeah.
I think that they're like a cornered animal, and they're starting to behave erratically, and they're panicked.
Yeah.
Cameron mentioned this earlier, but a lot of us, I do it too, I project this deity level ability of Israel to control domestic and foreign situations, and social media and all this other stuff. But there is some evidence emerging that they're pretty incompetent. Did you see this strike on the Iran prison?
No.
Oh,
no,
this
I
is
didn't.
crazy. Okay, let's pull up 10. I think it's Blumenthal again talking about this, but they screwed the pooch on this one.
Let's take a look.
Why did the Israelis bomb a prison, an Iranian prison? Was it an accident, or was there some diabolical purpose to killing prisoners and the people visiting them?
It's so funny.
No, that's a great question, and it connects directly to the last point I made. Israel bombed Evin prison, and they thought, this is like the most extreme neoconservative delusional thinking. They thought by bombing this prison that they would send a message to the part of Iranian society that opposes the Islamic Republic, that Israel stands with them and wants to actually liberate the prisoners in Evin prison, who many of them are sort of considered political prisoners, including people who have attempted to foment regime change, as well as dissidents. And it's always harshly condemned by the human rights industrial complex. So Israel bombed the gates, thinking they would send a message and that it would lead people into the streets. Instead, what they wound up doing was not only killing many prisoners, killing social workers, killing prison guards, killing families who were there to visit their dissident family members. And they wound up facing the harshest consternation from some of the loudest voices supporting regime change, like Narges Mohammadi, condemning Israel for doing that. So it completely backfired. And this really speaks to the delusional thinking that animates Israel's war on Iran.
And not just their war on Iran. They're exhibiting delusional thinking across the board. Netanyahu thinking that he's going to control the narrative around Israel by taking over social media platforms when his narrative has already collapsed, his government is collapsing, the economy is collapsing, world support for Israel is collapsing. It's absolutely delusional. Cameron?
Yeah, so let's try to understand why all of this is happening, because there are many lanes. There are a lot of variables that the Israelis are engaged with. 7 or 8 front, 9 front war at any given time. That involves Iran. It involves Hamas in Gaza. It involves Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen. It involves Syria, Iraq, the West Bank. What is all of this about? Why are they doing this? The reason is because of eschatology. And you have to start there, because if you start there, and eschatology is basically a fancy word for saying a philosophy of end times. And Netanyahu, who's supported by the Mizrahi and the hardcore religious Jews inside of Israel, frankly, they're the only ones really left in his government, and they're the dominant ones in his coalition. They want to demolish the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They want to rebuild Solomon's Temple. They believe that we are living in end times, that this is a messianic era. And that's where you have to start. So specifically, what do they want? Well, I think they want 3 things. The first is they want to ethnically cleanse Palestine. Some people believe, I don't know what to believe, but I've heard credible people say this, that the October incident 2 years ago was orchestrated by Netanyahu, that Israeli defenses were purposely lax so that event could happen, to justify an invasion of Gaza and the West Bank. Remember, the Palestinian population inside that country is concentrated in those 2 areas. In order for the Israelis to establish total control of the state of Israel, they would have to ethnically cleanse both places. And there's absolutely evidence that they're doing that. They're expanding settlements in the West Bank as they are murdering and demolishing Gaza, right? So both these things are happening. That's the first thing they want. They want a pure ethno state, and they want to purge, expel, or kill the Palestinians, period. And they won't accept anything less. And this is something that Jabotinsky talked about. There's always been a strain of the Jews that thought that the only hope that Israel had was if they purged the Palestinian Arabs completely. That's the first thing. The second thing is they want to balkanize and fragment the Middle East completely, right? Why attack Hamas in Qatar? Why do that? Because you want to destroy any potential for a ceasefire. You want to destroy any potential for diplomacy. You want to end this on the battlefield. And you want to end it by expelling the Arabs inside your country, but then by fragmenting and balkanizing the entire region so that it is safe for the state of Israel and for Jewish supremacy. That's the second thing they want. And the third is they want the absolute destruction of the Iranian state and its people, who they regard as an existential threat. Why do they regard them as an existential threat? Because of the Ayatollahs and the bomb. That's why. They believe that the Ayatollahs at any moment could trigger the bomb, and that's the end. And if you think about it from that point of view, what is it that motivates the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians? Hatred. That's what it is. It's emotion. It's hatred. What about balkanizing and fragmenting the Middle East, which is basically what they've done to the Western world, by the way? What motivates that is supremacy. It's superiority. We are better than these people. We're going to dominate them completely. And thirdly, why destroy Iran? Because of paranoia. Hatred, supremacy, paranoia. This is what dominates Netanyahu. And when you are consumed by emotions like that, are you making rational decisions? No, you're not. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing miscalculation after miscalculation. We're seeing the Israelis basically self-destruct. And the only way they're going to survive this is if the Netanyahu government is removed or collapses. That's it. Because if this goes on, if this war with Iran happens, yeah, it's going to be devastating for the United States. It will. We will lose casualties. Our forces in the region are vulnerable, but it will mean the end of Israel, I suspect. That's where we're headed.
They're stuck in a feedback loop, right? So they're paranoid, which makes them act erratically and
they're
behave
erratic.
badly.
Yeah.
And then there becomes the perception. The perception develops that they're erratic and emotional and they behave badly. And then they use that to justify their paranoia.
Yeah. Well, what's going on is incredibly stereotypical. I saw, Nick's stream the other night where he's like, you ever wonder where the term "don't Jew me down" comes from? And it's like, you've got this negotiation going on at the White House with the ceasefire deals for Hamas. You've got the Arab League and Syria and Egypt and all of these other stakeholders, right? Regional stakeholders that have all approved this ceasefire deal with Hamas. And then what happens? Netanyahu and Jared Kushner, the Jews, come in and then they start chewing them down. They start revising the deal.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, yeah, here's the deal.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like what they had originally talked about with the other stakeholders. And of course, it's like not going to go anywhere. And even if it did go anywhere, I heard reports that Smotrich and Ben-Gvir would have resigned. If Bibi came home to Israel with that peace deal, they would have resigned.
Yeah.
And so you've got internal conflict. And if I've said it once on this program, I'm going to say it 150 billion times. Please, maybe you could donate $1 every time I bring up the curse of the 8th decade.
Yeah.
This is following a pattern that we've seen before, and it is where the Jews have a hard time leading themselves. They have a very hard time governing
We're at year
themselves.
78, right?
We are at year 77. I think there's maybe 3 years left until we hit the 1948. So it'd be 2028 would be the 70th anniversary or 80th anniversary. But yeah, go check that out. Mizrahi.org, The Curse of the 8th Decade. They're screwed. And everything that they're doing in an attempt to shore themselves up is going to have backlash against them.
It's going to backfire spectacularly, like this Iran prison situation.
The Iran prison thing, the TikTok thing. If we actually go to war, if we don't go to war, if we let Gen Z age up, if we, you know, and so they're in this position where they have to act like erratic nut jobs because they're going to lose all.
They don't have to. They could also just do the ethical thing, like Cameron opened the show with. But they just never will.
No. They can't. What are you talking about?
What's really sad though is that, you know, I saw Alistair Crook's interview, and I've seen a number of other people echo the sentiment that there's some kind of a strategy that's motivating what we're doing with the Israelis. You know, Crook said in that segment you just played, well, Trump thinks this. No. This is all about the Zionists. They are driving the train. And what does that tell you about the position of our president? I mean, what is it that the Israelis really have over him? And see, this is where you go to dark places. If you go back 10 years and revisit Trump's first election, there was always concern. There were rumors about subterfuge, right? That Donald Trump and potentially other U.S. presidents had some particular way. But fast forward to today, and you go back to Charlie Kirk's tragic death and the circumstances surrounding that, and what Max Blumenthal said, which is that Charlie Kirk in his last days was afraid. He seemed to be very concerned about his well-being. And guess what? So is the president. So is Donald Trump. And I say all that because Donald Trump, I'm not a big fan of the man, and I don't think he thinks things through. But I can promise you this: he knows that fighting a war with Iran is insane. Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense. It will destroy his administration. It will destroy his presidency. He must know that. Why is he doing this? Because the fear of God is in him. And that tells you the nature of the control, the grip, the insidious nature of Netanyahu.
Oh, wait, we lose him?
He'll be back. He'll be back in a moment. I don't know what's going on. The Hungarian internet just really isn't
born of fear for your life, right? So this is where we are.
Damn, we missed a lot of that.
A lot of that. We caught a lot of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm being optimistic.
Half glass full kind of guy.
Yeah, I think you're right, Cameron.
What we did here.
Of what we did here, I agreed.
Let's shift gears.
Yeah, just to briefly summarize, I think that Donald Trump, like other representatives in the government, have the fear of God in them.
Yeah.
In other words, this goes beyond extortion. This is beyond a political power play. There's something very evil going on in terms of the Zionist control of our government. And I just don't see how this ends well for Donald Trump or the United States in the short term.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people, too, that think that perhaps one of the reasons above and beyond the Epstein blackmail and all that is, what about the Samson option? Mm-hmm. You know, there's kind of two schools of thought, one of them being that it's possible that Israel's nuclear stockpile has aged out. It does take constant maintenance to have nuclear weapons that are, battle ready. Mm-hmm. You can't just make an atomic bomb, leave it for 50 years, and then one day decide to push the button. It will not detonate. You need constant maintenance on that kind of stuff. And so we don't have much oversight into Israel's nuclear program, but we do know that they have a nuclear program. Are they threatening to use that? Is that basically what the vibe is? Is that one of the reasons why they're acting this way? That, if the Jews can't have Israel, that they'll just literally nuke the entire world, But hey, that would explain why these people have the fear of God in them the way that they do. It can't just be personal blackmail or money or anything like that. I mean, I don't know.
I agree.
I think that there's something.
No, I agree. I think that point is the point, right? Because I've heard rumors that if you go back to the 12-day war in June, part of the reason we dropped some bombs on the Iranian nuclear site is because the Israelis were prepared to use nuclear weapons. Now, I don't know that that's true by any means. I have no evidence to substantiate that claim, but people have confided those kinds of fears in me. And so, again, you put yourself in Donald Trump's position in which you're obligated down this path. What would you do? Well, it seems like that's a better path than nuclear escalation. The second thing is that it's also noteworthy that the Saudi-Pakistan Pact was signed recently, in fact, right on the heels of what happened in Qatar, in which the Israelis quite literally exploded the potential for a peace process. And that includes, presumably, a nuclear umbrella that the Saudis would fall under Pakistan, right? Remember, Pakistan has nuclear weapons. They have the largest army in the Muslim world. And it seems to me like that's rearguard action on the part of the Saudis to potentially hedge against nuclear escalation. So again, you can see how dangerous this situation is and how the dominoes could very quickly fall. What do the Russians do? What do the Chinese do if we, again, pursue this path of striking Iran? Are they just going to sit there and watch Iran be decimated when they are certainly on the chopping block next? At least that's what I would think. So this could get out of control very, very, very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, and just to back that up a little bit, one of our favorite Jews on this podcast, Jonathan Pollard, of course, he's a traitor and a spy that should have been hung, but instead was pardoned by Donald Trump and sent back to Israel. He is now planning a run for the Knesset. He is going to attempt to be an elected representative over in Israel. You're laughing. This is fucking real. Oh my God. He has released a 10-point plan for Israel to win their war. And point 6 of his 10-point plan is, of course, to admit that they have a nuclear arsenal. Quote, "We should admit that we have a nuclear arsenal and that we will use these weapons at a time and place of our choosing. I have asked some generals once if anyone could tell me how we could actually use nuclear weapons, and nobody could. So I asked, then why do we build them? One general answered it was for deterrence. Well, here's a wake-up call. If you're not ready to use them, the enemy's not afraid of us anymore." That's not what he sounds like at all, but
that's insane. It's always for deterrence.
He literally wants to run for office and have as his stated policy position that they're going to literally nuke their neighbors. This is what's going on. For those of you unaware of Israel's nuclear program, The Guardian did put out an article about it about 11 years ago, talking about the Israeli nuclear program at Dimona. It's, of course, one of the reasons why they killed John F. Kennedy. He wanted weapons inspections at the Dimona nuclear reactor. And
we have to assume it's robust because of their paranoia. Yeah,
I would imagine that for now Jonathan Pollard, he was a member of LACOM, which is one of their spy agencies. They've got LACOM, Unit 8200, the Mossad, Shin Bet. There's quite a few. But considering his ties to the intelligence world and the fact that he literally can call up Bezalel Smotrich or he can call Ben Gvir on the phone, and he talks about it on his podcast all the fucking time about how he calls them up and tells them, nuke Gaza, nuke them. This is where they're headed. And so, of course, if you think things are getting crazy in America, things are going to get even more intense in Israel over the next, 4 to 6 months, because from what I can tell, the coalition, there was like a governing coalition over there, and I'm pretty sure one of the more ultra-Orthodox elements of the governing coalition, the Shas party, I believe left the coalition, which triggers an automatic vote in the Knesset. Their shit is so complicated. It's like, if you think American politics is bad, just wait till you look at like Israeli politics and how like the Knesset runs. But I'm pretty sure that they've got a big election coming up, and a lot of people like Jonathan Pollard are running for office on the platform of nuke everyone. This is where we're headed. And so, of course, the United States is looking at this like, well, I guess we better go bomb them, because if we don't, they're going to start breaking out the nukes.
Well, it is kind of like the Charlie Kirk letter where he says, it seems like you guys don't care about winning hearts and minds because you just assume everybody hates you.
True.
True. How am I supposed to pivot to this AI job segment now?
Well,
let's think it through. Let's see.
Well,
I think you just did.
Yeah, I think we did.
Let's talk about this. This was so reassuring.
Less doom and gloom.
Well, yes, this is actually a positive story. I asked the audience one time in our Telegram, like, well, what topics do you guys want to hear about? Sometimes I take some polling in there, and everybody was saying, just talk about something positive, like once. Talk about something positive once. We got a positive story for you. I'm freaking out about AI all the time. When I'm laying in bed and trying to go to sleep, I'm not always thinking about Israel or the Jews. Like 80% of the time I'm thinking about AI. I'm real worried. I'm worried about a Terminator situation, okay? And I'm worried about job replacements. But Cameron sent me this incredible investigative report. And we're going to watch this clip in a second, where this very smart woman posits that AI is not actually taking jobs. It's just a Trojan horse so that companies can hire more H-1B visas, more people on H-1B visas, and claim it's because AI is taking people's jobs. And I was like, that is diabolical, but also very reassuring because I just assume everything's going to be automated, but I don't think it actually is. So the Wharton Business School, this guy, I don't know how to say his name.
Let's see.
Do your best.
Valery Yakubovich.
Oh, that seems right. All right.
Yakubovich.
He wrote an interesting article with some other experts from Wharton. They say,
Can we get an early life on this guy?
Really?
Real quick. I don't know. I mean, Yakubovich.
That guy does not look Jewish to me.
He's
I'm
either
gonna go
like
ahead and say
Russian, Eastern.
Serb.
No,
Serb,
Serbian.
probably.
Could be Serbian.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He's
Wharton
attractive,
School,
so-
though. The Wharton School.
The
very,
Wharton Wharton experts believe it isn't going to happen. That's AI taking over jobs as drastically as many predict. In an essay published in the Wall Street Journal, the professors contend that AI will most likely create more jobs for people because it needs intensive human oversight to produce usable results. The big claims about AI assume that if something is possible in theory, then it will happen in practice. That is a big leap. Modern work is complex, and most jobs involve much more than the kind of things AI is good at, mainly summarizing text and generating output based on prompts. First, while generative AI has advanced rapidly, it still has a long way to go before it can function autonomously and predictably, which are key features that make it reliable. Second, large language models like ChatGPT are capable of processing vast amounts of data, but they cannot parse it accurately. And I deal with this with Grok all the time. And are prone to misleading information known as AI hallucinations. Third, and this is what the video is going to explain, companies are risk averse. They need to maintain a high degree of efficiency and control to be successful. They won't be rushing to lay off all of their people in exchange for technology that still has a lot of bugs to work out. That's true. Like, how many companies, high-level companies, are we seeing put all of their emails through AI? Then a trained AI model would learn everything about a company, the work that needs to be done, the nature of the work already done. If they did that, nobody is doing that. Let's pull up clip 14.
Sourcing. According to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services data, in 2025 alone, Amazon has received approval for 10,044 H-1B visas. Amazon Web Services, their cloud division, was approved for 2,347 H-1B visas, and those are definitely developers. Think about that. If AI is so good that it's replacing human coders, then why does Amazon Web Services need over 2,000 visas to bring workers into the U.S.? If AI agents are handling everything, why do they need over 10,000 visas just in 2025? They're trying to say that AI is replacing all jobs, but that's an oversimplified narrative, and it's often used as a cover for these corporations who are doing more complex and controversial business practices. Corporations started using the H-1B visa to bring in labor, pay them less, and effectively lay off American workers.
Yep,
we just saw this.
I mean, this is somewhat reassuring to me. I mean, at least if your company is using bad business practices and they don't want to risk their internal information getting out, your job is probably safe for a little while, just a little while. And I wonder if AI is ever going to get to that level where it has human processing capability, because right now it is really limited. I mean, Grok and ChatGPT are excellent for summary of data, but outside of that, really, what is the utility?
Well, I mean, it's good. There's data summary. There's like pattern recognition. There is some really interesting stuff when it comes to the field of like genetics and biology. Yep. Coming up with different compounds and stuff like that.
But all that is just data summary.
But that's all like data
analysis,
and mapping.
right?
Now the other stuff. So was it Sora and VO3, the Google AI video generation? That's going to be extremely disruptive. I mean, it already is. I use AI now in my film production and stuff, and it makes it a lot easier. It's something that might take a week to animate. You can just literally give it a start point, end point, and say animate, and then it does it. You know, fluid dynamics, the whole thing. It's great, you know.
But it's possible that this
limited.
will
It's
just
very
empower the existing employee to be more efficient rather than to be totally automated. I mean, some things like scheduling and some low-level jobs are obviously going to get replaced by AI, but that might make companies more efficient.
I just still don't understand why they even need H-1Bs to begin with. There are so many unemployed white Americans that could fill these
cheaper.
jobs.
I mean,
it's cheaper than what? I mean, cheaper for them, yeah, but it's like screwing our people over.
of course, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
It's such a mess.
Cameron, do you think the situation is less bleak than we've discussed previously on the Backlash?
In terms of AI, I do. Now, I'll preface by saying I'm not an expert when it comes to artificial intelligence. I mean, I've looked at it to the degree that I can understand it, and I think there's a lot that we still have to learn. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these companies. But what's very clear is that it has become another narrative, right? And this is how Wall Street functions. So you probably recall, I know Dave does, you go back to 2020, and it was all the clean tech stuff. It was all the electric vehicles. Then it became the metaverse. I don't know if you guys remember that, the metaverse. We were all going to sort of live in some parallel digital universe. People were buying real estate in the metaverse, quote unquote. It was ridiculous. Then that crashed. Then along with that was sort of like blockchain. Then you got Ozempic, right? You have all of these waves of narratives that stimulate a massive overinvestment. You get a bubble. The bubble then sort of, it peters out, it tops out, and then it crashes. And now it's artificial intelligence. So there's a massive investment bulge in data centers for semiconductors, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean it's going to change the world. And an example of this is the internet itself, right? So some people refer to the internet, computers, cell phones as the the third industrial revolution, the information age. There is an economist, his name is Robert Solow, and he invented something called total factor production, which is a different way of looking at GDP. It's a barometer of innovation. And what he said is that, and I quote, "We can see the computer age everywhere except in the productivity statistics." So in other words, the internet, it did change the way companies function. It changed the way the world operates. But was there a productivity boom or a productivity miracle, as some people like to call it? No, there wasn't. And if you look at every 10 jobs in the economy today, 9 have ever did last century. Now, if you go back to the second industrial revolution, or even the first industrial revolution, when you had things like the steam engine, and then eventually you get to kerosene, and you get automobiles, you get electrification. Those things changed the world immeasurably. They created massive new industries, new jobs. They changed the world, I think, in kind, not just in degree. Is that what artificial intelligence is going to do? Well, we'll have to wait and see. We don't know yet is the point of what she said. We don't know yet. What we do know is that the corporate overlords are doing exactly what they've done before Trump was elected. And the point of all of this is that we don't have a country, we don't have a system that represents the ethnos. We don't have a corporate suite at the top that represents our interests. That's why our people do not get hired. In China, the people that run the Chinese government, that run Chinese companies, yeah, I'm not saying they're beyond reproach. There's corruption. They're skimming off the top, just like any other country. And it goes on a lot in China. But at least there's a sense of national identity, of hiring Chinese people. That does not exist in the United States whatsoever. And until it does, nothing's going to change. And unfortunately, Trump hasn't changed that either.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Dave?
Well, yeah, I was going to also kind of like see if I could shoehorn this in. Hold on, I'm moving some tabs around. I was going to try to shoehorn this in because this whole AI thing, taking jobs, this is just kind of like the next wave of what has happened with affirmative action. And so I guess I'm going to take an optimistic story and I'm going to make it a Debbie Downer story.
Oh, come on. I told the Telegram that we were going to lift them up.
I guess I was going to say, we still have an issue in this country with the ethnos being disregarded by these big corporate elites. One of them being this company called, was it Axon? These are the guys that make the tasers that cops use.
Yeah.
We have a listener of the show that I guess has some indirect knowledge of this company.
I recognize that taser because do you remember a few years ago when there was that female cop who thought she was she thought she was tasing a suspect and she pulled out her gun and just blew him away? Yeah.
Who's got the Sam Hyde clip? Who's got the Sam Hyde clip?
That's like internet lore.
Bro, if you get arrested by a female cop, run. But this is another issue, and I guess I'm bringing this up just as a reminder that as we're facing this potential wave of AI, everybody's saying AI is going to take people's jobs and stuff like that. We're still dealing with affirmative action,
right?
Taking white people's jobs away, and so these are some stills from an internal communique from Axon. They have, I guess this is their program, but basically they're giving bonuses to people that hire non-white and women. So they are like actively attempting to get less white people working over here. And they're giving referral bonuses, a 50% referral bonus to a candidate who self-identifies as diverse and who will complete 90 days of employment. So
I self-identify as diverse.
Hey, I'm Sicilian, okay? Like Axon, hire me. I can make
he's
tasers.
Basically black.
You want somebody to make some like taser videos? I'll get tased.
Wait, are you telling me that a bunch of black chicks are making tasers now?
Apparently. Anyway, we should be calling for a boycott of these guys, we should be calling for a boycott of Taser or Taser 10, whatever it's called.
It's a shame because that looks really sweet.
It does look really cool, but I mean, like here's like an obvious area where like people, you can go to your city council meeting, you can go to your county commissioners meeting, and you can be like, hey, look, these people are doing DEI, they're doing anti-white discrimination. Remember, Charlie Kirk has raised the bar on the discourse anyway, and so being against anti-white racism is now, it should be standard practice for conservatives.
These companies will fail anyway,
They should hold their feet to the fire. And, we did see, like locally, talking about this AI and data center stuff, we had a big hearing at our county commissioners last week. There's been a lot of talk about people putting a big data center out here in North Idaho on the prairie. And apparently, after a lot of backlash from the population, a lot of blowback, a lot of pushback, whatever you want to call it.
We should have called ourselves the blowback.
The blowback. Ugh, I don't know about that. I don't think it works. But they are going to be banning a data center up here. So,
good.
That's good news. So yeah, schizo rant over. Fuck Axon Taser.
Man, that's
Those
disappointing.
Guys suck. And by the way, if you are watching this program and your employer has a anti-white policy on the books, or they're actively trying to discriminate against white people, or hire
please
more
let us
black
know. We'll
let
talk
us
about
know.
it.
Send us an email.
At the info
at thebacklash.net.
Yep.
And we will definitely try to give you a shout out and see if we can't get some positive change happening. But I mean, for these people to be doing what they're doing with these tasers, and it's like most cops are white.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Law and order is a very white thing. And so anyway,
yeah.
It seems like an area where we could have a W potential.
Did you guys see that stuff in go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? So, yeah, this is one example, but what do you think is going on in all the Fortune 500 companies? They all more or less have the same basic policy. Maybe it's explicit, as it was in that screenshot. Maybe it's implied. But that culture is going to persist until the elites or the corporate heads, the C-suite is changed at a lot of these corporations. And lest we forget, the influencers that we played at the beginning of the show told us who runs a lot of the industry. So you can have the best system in the world. You can have the most enlightenment-friendly constitution you want. But every system, every country, every society, every community it rests with the destiny, or its destiny depends upon the people who are actually running that country or that community, that society. Until we take that back, until we assert our identity and our ownership of this country, of our corporations, et cetera, this is going to continue worse and worse. Again, that's why I think you're seeing Trump and Hegseth, as haphazardly as it was, attempt to sort of turn the ship in a different direction.
Right.
We just need a categorical shift across the country. And as I keep saying, I think that's going to require a mass mobilization event. One other thing to note, though, is that, you think about what really gets Americans angry, what gets them exercised. I mean, I remember, I think it was 10 years ago or so, when you had these Disney employees who not only were going to be fired, but they had to train their replacements who were all foreigners, right? I don't know, it's probably a reference that's beyond most of our audience, but if you go back to the movie Risky Business, at the end of Risky Business, Tom Cruise, it was his breakout film, is told by Guido the pimp words of wisdom that I think capture the American spirit. Never, ever fuck with another man's livelihood. That has gone on in this country for way too long. It's pissed a lot of people off. A lot of people are hurting because of it. Now's the time to take action.
On that note, support our livelihood at thebacklash.net/super chat. We will read your super chats after a few more segments. First, we should do one ad before I do my little spiel.
Well, I guess an ad that would seem to make sense, shoehorned in here, talking about the economy and the jobs market, would be our partners at atlasbullion.com/backlash. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but gold has been hitting all-time highs again. It's up to 38.64 today. Gold to silver ratio is at about 91 ounces of silver to gold. Silver, by the way, at 47.27 an ounce, which is
the ratio's up.
It's
about to hit 91.
It's about to hit 91. It's incredible. I remember when I started buying silver at $15. So at 47, it's like, holy shit. But I saw, Cameron, I don't know, what are you seeing with the any predictions? I saw one today they're calling for silver at $2.50 an ounce.
Seriously?
I don't know if it's going to go that high, but it did just break out with the new month turning over. It broke out of like a 50-year cup and handle pattern. So I think it's got some upside.
So this is just the beginning of a massive bull run. Where it ends, I'm sure I don't know. Could silver go to $250 an ounce? Absolutely, it could. Could gold go to $10,000 an ounce? Could it go to $20,000 an ounce? Absolutely, it could. You have to remember, you go back to the Romans, go back to the 12 tables. What is money? Money is gold and silver. Everything else is credit. Cycles tend to revert back to the beginning. So if we're right, and what we've been saying on this program since, November of last year, and it sure as hell looks like we're right, based on what we're seeing happen around the world. You've got a financial crisis in Argentina. The U.S. government inexplicably just bailed out Malay's government down in Buenos Aires. You have a situation developing in France and the UK, both of which are openly talking about potentially getting an IMF bailout. Well, who backstops the IMF, right? The United States does. We're the largest shareholder. So you can see where this is going. There's a financial fire that's spreading. That's why gold is rising. There's one other thing that's very important to note about all of this is that when the United States came off the gold standard in 1971, basically the bankers manipulated the price of gold and silver in the paper markets. I'm not going to go into how they did that, but basically you haven't had a true valuation of precious metals in decades. Now we're going to find out what that true value is, in part because there's this little country in Asia called China that has a lot of gold, and they set up their own exchange, which challenges the Rothschild bankers for the first time since Napoleon was defeated in 1815. So could silver and gold do multiples from where they are? Absolutely, they could. No question.
And by the way, if you started stacking with us when we started advertising, which was about in January of this year, you would be up 46%. So if you would put 10 grand into gold, you'd have 20 now.
Yeah.
Basically. With silver, very, very similar, if not more. 59% increase in silver. So hold on, let me just check. Let me just see. Bitcoin, a little bit, 25%. So you would have actually done better over the past year.
With gold and silver.
Buying gold and silver.
Let that be a lesson to you.
Than with Bitcoin. I will readily take the L on that one. Okay, but we did just start October, so it is going up. But please visit our friends at atlasbullion.com/backlash. You don't have to sign up for their monthly or weekly, bi-weekly programs. They've got a little silver subscription, a gold subscription, starting as low as $55 a month. But you don't have to do that. You could do like a lump sum if you had 10, 20, 30 grand that you wanted to pop into gold right now while you can. You can do that too. They also have IRA and 401k programs. They've got subscriptions for the kids. If you want to get your children to start learning about real money, gold and silver, you can do that with our friends at atlasbullion.com/backlash. You can get the links to them and, of course, all of our affiliates at thebacklash.net up here in the upper right-hand corner. And if anybody did want to buy some Bitcoin, you would probably want to use our partners at River.
Look, he even put a little cross on the wall.
Oh, look at that. We should scan that and we can put it on Twitter or something.
This is so amazing. I love this so much. Everybody looks like themselves, especially Dave.
Especially me, yeah. With the orange glasses. Did he draw that with a highlighter?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, we'll put that on Twitter later. That's funny. All right. It is now time for Rebecca's rant.
God help me, but I'm going to make an argument that we should not disenfranchise women.
Oh my God.
After an entire career advocating repeal 19, I think maybe we should not do that, but I will explain why.
I quit.
No, I've got some good points here. All right. Okay, this is from 1984, George Orwell. It was always the women and above all the young ones who were the most bigoted adherents of the party, the swallowers of slogans, the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy. I recognize we have a whammon problem. We do. From 1999 to 2013, about 3 in 10 women aged 18 to 29 consistently identified as liberal, after which the figure rose to 44% by 2020. So now it's adjusted to around 11-point increase since 99 in women's liberal identification, and has made what was already the most liberal subgroup of women even more liberal. So our immediate reaction as a movement is to attempt to disenfranchise women. And I understand this. I am sympathetic to this. But what if we weaponized female behavior in order to accelerate our objectives? Let's think about this. Women have a tendency towards zealotry that is innate to us. And there's a biological impetus for this. This comes from a research paper entitled Neural Correlates of the Female Susceptibility to Negative Emotions. It sounds boring, but it was fascinating. It is clear that females are more susceptible to various affective disturbances than males. It has been proposed that gender differences in response to social rejection stress may be the reason underlying gender differences. By measuring saliva, cortisol responses to different types of stressors, and the self-reported affect ratings, researchers found that females were more physiologically responsive to social rejection stressors than males. In life settings, it appears unsurprising to see more emotional involvement in females than in males. For example, it was reported that females experience negative emotions such as anger, fear, sadness more frequently and more intensely than do males across nations and cultures. So biologically, women's higher parental investment through pregnancy and childcare, it makes us more dependent on social networks for protection, resources, which makes the possibility of exclusion or group defeat akin to bloodline death. Men, however, rely more on physical strength or alliances for status, which is how they retain their perceived masculinity. Because women respond to social norms for fear of exclusion or loss of resources, when women sense that the tide is shifting and turning right, they turn right very quickly and decisively. So in Italy under Mussolini, women were encouraged to embody the good fascist mother role, supporting the regime's natalist policies, while thousands of non-conforming women were institutionalized for moral deviancy based In Nazi Germany, the emphasis was on children, kitchen, church, with women like those in the Nazi Women's League promoting Aryan ideals, the most fervently perhaps of the entire group. And in Spain, the Sesión Femenina under Franco became one of the largest women's organizations, running social programs and strictly enforcing obedient, self-sacrificial ideas for women. So women in the far-right movement, they often play the role as recruiters, influencers. They soften the harsh ideologies and they make them more palatable to broader audiences. And research shows that female participation can help internationalize far-right networks by framing these issues around family, tradition, protection, which does appeal to disillusioned groups. So as much as I would like to repeal the 19th, I don't think it's realistic. And worse yet, I think it may actually mobilize feminists to expand their movement through perceived victimization. So the solution to the problem is to radicalize the women and make them fear that if they are not the most extreme radical right-wingers, they'll be socially ostracized, they'll be mocked, and most importantly, they'll be abandoned. Our society is gynocentric. Even male movements towards health and gym culture are subtly female-coded, and they focus on the superficial aspects of being a man that are associated with being an alpha male, wealth, status, strength. And while these are important, true masculinity has depth. Masculinity is altruistic and femininity is pragmatic. So art, philosophy, literature, leadership, they are pure expressions of masculinity. And women, even the idiot leftist ones, they are attracted to authentic masculinity. I think maybe even lesbians. I'm calling for a two-pronged approach to the women problem. First, there needs to be a renewal of pure masculinity and a resurgence of those cultural treasures that result thereof. Now, second, and I know you guys can do this, I will do my part too. We need to otherize women that are not radically right-wing, make them feel alone, freakish, and absent social support, shame them into becoming radical right-wingers. I will do my part. You do your part. Bring the shame. I believe in you guys. End rant.
Very good. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot because being a woman, you know, I'm self-aware, but I also hate myself because there's nothing I can do about this. Like, I was born this way. I'm emotional. Like I'm trapped by my own female nature, but I'm also aware of it. It's actually kind of a difficult thing. And I think that if we do disenfranchise women, which logistically would just be a nightmare, that we will be able to make this entire victim narrative that will gain traction with feminist communities. I think it would totally backfire.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. Same with like the abortion thing. Like a lot of people have been pushing the abortion stuff, and then it activates the abortion leftists. And right now, they're trying to make abortion legal in Idaho. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
There's a a ballot initiative being run by these same fucking leftists that do it every year.
It's always the same people.
Same people, but we'll see if it even gets to the ballot. It'll definitely be defeated, I think. I would hope. But yeah, I could see some utility in that. And women are much more easily peer pressured than men.
Right.
That is obvious.
And I think that a problem that we have on the right is that we've created this image of masculinity that is largely superficial. I mean, like the gym bro thing, while I'm into it, it's important to be physically fit and everything like that, but it's all about your appearance. And that's why a lot of people are like, gym culture is gay. I kind of understand that too.
But I mean, at the same time, we also need men's only spaces.
For sure, yeah.
It's one of the things I love the most about like the smoking group.
Yeah.
Where you get together, you smoke cigars.
With a bunch of dudes.
Dudes, men only. But at the same time, I view the women in politics thing as like, it's a scourge. It's a punishment. It's a punishment for men not doing what they should be doing, which is being involved in politics, right? The men are at home, they're watching football, they're going to their job, they're keeping their head down.
They're letting their wives do podcasts.
They're letting their wives walk all over them, do things like podcasting. And it's, so we need the men to step up.
Right.
And I think that if men just stepped up, the woman problem would kind of solve itself.
Maybe we can channel all of this strong woman energy into being strict enforcers of Aryan ideals.
Based.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would work. And as far as like taking away the women's right to vote thing, yeah, I don't necessarily think that would be the right way to approach it. I think that it should be the removal of non-landowners' right to vote. So in order to vote, you should be a landowner.
I'm fine with that.
You know, and
I don't vote anyway, so none of this affects
that way.
me.
All of the masses of apartment dwellers that come and go. Like up here, how many new apartments have they made? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 apartments. I don't want these people voting.
No.
So we should take away their right to vote and make it so that only people that are invested in the area that own land that they vote. And really, it should be a
one vote per family.
household,
yeah,
a household vote. That would be ideal. But then again, this is all also like very pipe dreamy and 30, 40 years out. I don't think we're anywhere near the area of being able to actually do any of this stuff.
Why 30 years out, Dave?
That seems arbitrary.
Maybe 20, 25? I don't know. I mean, I just
3 years out.
we need first the amount of time to end the Israeli propaganda and the connection between us and Israel. I think that'll take maybe 20 years. It could be sooner. It could be a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Who knows? But once that's dealt with, then we can start moving down the list on some of the hit list pieces that we need to make society better.
All right, I agree.
All right. I agree.
Thank you, guys.
So I would just finish with Orwell's quote, which I think I sent to you. Did I not, Rebecca?
I opened with that.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, you were talking and I tuned you out. Just kidding.
Woman talking moment. Woman talking.
Right. Look, if you look at the data, it is actually a lot more encouraging than people think. So one reference point I would make is a book called Dataclysm, which was written by Christopher Rudder, who I think was a co-founder of OkCupid. That is irrefutable evidence of female behavior online. And I do think female behavior online is also overstated, in part because it's a fictitious environment, right? It's basically a wish list for females. And that wish list is, I want the guy to be 6'5", and I want him to make this amount of money, and he's got to have these facial proportions, so forth and so on. But even I think anecdotally, and maybe there's survey data to confirm this, I think there is, in fact, women prefer to meet people in real life anyway. Because for the female psyche, everything is a story, right? They want a narrative that unfolds. This is why Hallmark is so appealing to the female mind. This is why Beauty and the Beast is so appealing to so many females, right? Or its updated version, which is 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh my God.
The key thing to grasp, I think, is that women are survivors, right? We have, I think it's double or triple the number of female survivors than male survivors. Women, how do you survive? You survive by adapting to shifts in power, right? You survive by by adapting to shifts in power. And ultimately, that's what we've seen women do over the last, 3, 4, 5 decades. The power structure has shifted. And so they have as well. In that sense, you're 100% right, Dave. They tend to follow. However, there is also something else in the female character that Orwell mentioned, as you read a moment ago, and that is this sort of bigoted impulse, right? They tend to be very prejudicial. That means that they swing emotionally. And I've talked about this. I've belabored this point, but I do so on purpose. This is not a brainwashing exercise. It's not about that. It is that female intuition of who's in power and who do I side with because they're likely going to win. That is the female calculus that's always going on in the back of their minds. It's unconscious. It's not something they're going to articulate in a concrete sense, but it's the way the female mind works. The only other thing I'll say is I was at an weeks ago, and I was asked to give a brief speech, which I did, and I opined on many of the principles that we express on this program, namely that we're on the cusp of a rebirth, right? That we are not in imminent destruction, that actually what's happening right now is a spontaneous reawakening. America and the West, we are awakening, and that's the first step, and I think that's going to catalyze a resurrection, as I've said before. What's interesting about that is that the vast majority of men who listened to what I had to say, most of whom were Poles, by the way, because this was in Poland, they said, okay, yeah, whatever, dude, thanks, next. The females, however, were absolutely enraptured by what I had to say. And I think there's some substance to that.
Because you're good looking, dude.
Feminine thinking is abstract.
Gay?
It's metaphorical, right? It exists in the ether. Male thinking is concrete. It's practical. It's pragmatic. It's quantitative. And as I've tried to emphasize and re-emphasize, that's not the right way to think about what's happening. This is not about logic. This is about emotion. Feminine naturally sort of channels that. And I think that means that, yeah, they could switch. They could swing as aggressively as Rebecca has said. Absolutely.
Can we get a rating on the European women from like hottest, most marriageable to least? Like, let's rank Poland, Hungary, Germany, Austria,
Czech Republic,
Slovenia, France. Go.
I'm not going to answer that question in part because I haven't gone out with females from all those countries, but I will say this. If you're coming to Europe and you're looking to meet a woman, you want to land in Prague, go no farther west, and go east. That's what you want to do.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard a lot about the women in the East being a lot more trad and marriageable than in the West. That's what Gonzalo Lira told me.
The old Coach Red Pill.
The one thing I will say though is that a lot of American and Western European men get into trouble because they do pursue women in Eastern Europe, primarily Slavic women. And Slavic women are fierce. They will eat you up if you don't understand the nature of who you're dealing with because they expect a real man. And a lot of the soy boys that come here expecting, special treatment because they're from the West, it just doesn't go that way. Or what happens is they're exploited by these women who are survivalists, right? Women are survivors. Men are the idealists. We will die on principle. Women, they survive.
True. That's true. I'll abandon my principles to survive for sure.
I'm just saying, Israel, cut me some checks. Let's talk.
It's because you have feminine energy, Dave.
No, it's because I want a new deck. And I'd like a Cybertruck too while we're at it.
They're great.
Send them that swimsuit calendar. Maybe that's the trick.
Maybe I could just get a better pipe. I've got a corncob pipe I got to break in. Just trying to abate my oral fixation.
Your whole thing right now is funny.
Dave's like 35, slipping into 65, something like that.
I just need to get the old man glasses with the shades even on the side,
Yeah, just lean into it. Lean into it.
What should I go out for Halloween this year?
Oh, Elton John.
George Lincoln Rockwell?
Oh, yeah. Nobody's going to get it.
No. Maybe just Hitler. We got to do a dress-up show.
Ugh.
We're going to be smoking his stogie, listening to In the Mood. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You see, that's the problem with these Jews.
Well, I can be Marie Antoinette. You can do a costume where you're beheaded.
Ooh, Marie Antoinette. Oh, we could do Marie Antoinette and Louis.
Okay.
That'd be cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, now everyone knows.
Maybe not. Maybe we won't do that.
Send your super chats to backlash.net/super chat. We want Cameron to get out of here at a reasonable time.
Got a big one we got to start off with over on Entropy. James Rhodes sent $99.97. Very specific. Says, watching Dave's solo episode on the Candlelight Church, so well done and such an important topic. Thanks for putting this info together. I'll do what I can to spread the word. I appreciate the courage and character it takes to do what you do, and Blonde and Cameron are doing for our cause.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If you guys have not watched it, please check it out. It was really good. Dave is better solo, I think.
I might be. I don't know. I was trained when on radio. I was trained for solo, but I like the vibe. I like being together with everybody, bantering back and forth. And it is nerve-wracking.
Dave's got versatility, man.
It is nerve-wracking to just crack open the camera, the microphone, and to just go. It's like,
If you did Hitler, would you do it for real?
I'd have to shave, wouldn't I?
Would you do it?
Oh my gosh. I don't think I could. My beard is like the longest that it's ever been. And it's long.
But think about the cause.
But listen, I'm growing this out. And I haven't been able to grow my beard out before. Usually it starts looking scraggly and all over the place. But because of our friends at North Idaho Tallow Company, they have an amazing beard balm that I use. And I don't just use it in my beard, actually. I use it as like a hair pomade. So I don't know if you can see, it's got a nice sheen to it.
He uses it on his back hair also.
I use it on my back hair. Sometimes when I'm braiding my chest hair, I'll throw some Idaho Tallow Company on.
What about your Frodo feet, Dave?
Frodo feet? Yeah, I need a shave. Need to shave the feet.
Never seen your feet, but I guarantee your toes are all the same length.
But if you are sick and tired of skincare that's packed with chemicals that you can't pronounce the names of, Idaho Tallow Company might be for you. They keep it simple with grass-fed tallow, time-tested ingredients, and zero junk. Our soaps, balms, and lip balm are packed with bioavailable nutrients your skin actually needs. No fillers, no endocrine disruptors, just rugged, reliable skincare that works. Ditch the synthetic garbage and switch to North Idaho Tallow Company. Get yours at idahotallow.com. And by the way, you can also make purchases with Bitcoin if you happen to like doing things like that. And they are giving free shipping on orders over $100 now. So please support them. They support us, and it all works together to bring you the content.
Why are you so taken with the finger painting? It's
not a finger painting because it looks like, did you see this up close? Look, it looks like all of us. He has the little string lights in there.
Does he?
Look, Cameron, it looks
He's
just
got
like
the
you.
stairs. He's got me in my like red thing.
Oh, there you go.
Flannel. Yeah, Cameron's in there.
It's just adorable.
How old was he? How old was the person that made that?
I don't know. He's got to be at least 7.
That's awesome.
Our little microphones.
He's got the little Atlas Bullion stickers.
He drew my blazer, which I wear all the time, and then he drew your
the flannel
that you wear all the time too.
That's awesome.
For whatever reason, it makes me think of Stewart from Mad TV. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Well, that's a throwback.
Oh man! All right,
We're
let's
gonna frame
move
this.
over to Power Chat. We do have a super chat from Monday's show that I missed. We're going to start there. It's from the Winged Hussar for $10. I ordered the sandalwood vanilla variation of soap and beard balm from Idaho Tallow, and my toxic masculinity is fully intact.
Very good.
But seriously, the best quality I've ever seen and great prices.
I know.
Thank you so much for the big super chat.
We're lucky with
We are.
Idaho Tallow.
Yeah, we've got great sponsors. It's nice to actually have sponsors whose product I like that collectively we believe in.
Yeah.
We're getting a new one too.
We
aren't
are getting a new sponsor. We will talk about it later. We haven't signed anything, so we can't say anything.
Yeah, but we might have some coffee for you. I'll say that.
You can say that.
Good enough. Anonymous sent $10. Wonderful job on Monday, Dave. Viva Cristo Rey. Viva.
Monday was rough for everybody.
It's a great day. I don't know what you're talking about. I had fun.
I totally lost control of the interview.
Weren't you supposed to?
I don't know. It was a little bit.
Well, you had three men to contend with.
Three
one
on
Catholic, one pagan, and one I don't know.
No, very true though. But yeah, we have been on a run with some good content recently. This past episode with Adam Green, Devin Stack from Monday, very good. We've been on a run, generational run. Not quite as generational as Nick, but doing pretty good. Views are also up. Thank you.
Yes, they are.
Oh,
Thank
and by
you,
the
guys.
way, do I need to remind you people?
Stop harassing the audience.
Press the like button on the video.
Like, subscribe, please
Hit the
share.
like button.
Share
Make
with
sure
your
you're-
friends.
Like, we have an audience on our main YouTube channel of like 6,000 people just on that channel, but only like 1.8 thousand of them have actually subscribed. So make sure you're subscribing and liking these things. It boosts us in the algorithm. It is still
We
helpful.
would like to get super famous so that we can get some of that Jew money.
I would like a deck or an Airstream or a Cybertruck, or I don't know, maybe to just get some basic maintenance done on my van that seems like it's falling apart. So
I think we've all been putting some stuff off.
yeah, we have.
Have you seen the Cybertruck in person, Dave?
Yeah,
have you seen one?
I think they're cool.
Yeah, I think they're cool
It's
too.
even more tasteless.
Yes.
And, pathetic
it's
in
just
person.
hideous.
Come on, look at me. Look at me with the glasses, with every, I mean, I belong in one of these. It's a giant dumpster.
I think they're cool. You know, they make them in red. Do you see the red one?
You can get
They're
them
all red.
wrapped. You can get them wrapped. I've seen them wrapped in an Israel flag too.
What?
Yeah, you haven't seen the Cybertruck in an Israel
I
flag?
assume that's what you're going to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, if the price is right. But the coolest thing about it is like you can literally like drive off in the woods with a couple of solar panels and a Starlink and broadcast from anywhere. That's
what you love most about the Cybertruck?
That sounds
None of
so
that
neat.
sounds cool, Dave.
I don't know. I'm just a
Cameron's
nerd.
like, that's my hell.
I think my mother took Tylenol when she was pregnant with me. That might explain it.
Tylenol does not cause autism. There's my hot take.
Anonymous sent $10. I really enjoyed hearing about the local lore going on in North Idaho. Thank you so much for your solo work, Dave. It was a very engaging segment. Thank you. These are all real people. I'm not telling them to do this. So
It's
sorry.
your wife and your
It's
daughter.
not.
I told her
No,
to do
it's-
it.
it's
I'm just
not.
joking.
I know my wife's fake username on the internet. It's not her. We've got a
People
big
like you, Dave. They really like you.
We've got a big super chat from Blonde's Mommy Milkers who sent $10. Charlie Kirk's so-called letter is nothing but Zionist propaganda and is completely fake. 1 or 2 weeks before Charlie was assassinated, he was starting to get on board with Orthodox Christianity, the most based version of Christian.
I don't know. Is there any evidence of that?
I did see a picture of Charlie in a Catholic church. But
what does that mean?
I don't know what that means, And I guess, by the way, I think Erica is allegedly still Catholic.
No.
I heard that she had apostatized, but I could be wrong about that too. I don't really know. I'm not following that whole thing as close as I should. Blonde's Mommy Milkers following up
Good
a $10
Lord.
super chat with
Why did
another
you say that so
$10
loud?
super chat. If you don't believe me, look at the second most recent video by a channel called Orthodox Ethos that shows Charlie's interview with an Orthodox priest. Charlie had a lot of very glowing things to say about Orthodox Christianity.
He has a lot of he had a lot of glowing things to say about Israel and Jews too. Yeah.
He did start to change his talking points about like the Blessed Virgin, Blessed Mother. He started saying nice things about her. It's a good sign. And Blonde's Mommy Milkers.
For the love of God.
For the third super chat of the day, sent $10. If Charlie had gone down the Orthodox Christian route, he would most definitely have turned anti-Israel and anti-Jewish. Orthodox Christianity is the most based version of Christianity, especially when it comes to Jews in Israel. Yeah, we could fight about that. We could definitely have a fight about that. No, we won't fight about it tonight. But yes, thank you very much, Blonde's Mommy Milkers, for the 3 big super chats. 86 Silent Heel 777 sent $12. I hope Dave has made a full recovery from that Monday onslaught. Since Halloween season is here, what are each of the hosts' favorite horror movies?
The Exorcist.
Great question. Exorcist is good. The Rite is good. For my horror movies, I like demon movies.
Okay.
Because they actually scare the shit out of me.
The Descent, that movie was really scary.
I haven't seen that one. All the old like scary movie, not scary movie, but
The
like,
Descent was
Psycho.
not scary.
Yes,
that
it
was not
was.
scary.
What was that about?
Frightening.
Was it about cave diving or something?
Yes. I haven't seen it in a
Yeah,
long
pretty
time.
much. That's it. And they were like monsters. It was not scary.
I'm into true crime, so nothing really scares me anymore.
Yeah, the demon movies. Exorcism of Emily Rose.
That
had me up for a couple nights. The Rite with Anthony Hopkins, very good. Obviously, The Exorcist. The Omen.
Oh, The Omen's a good one.
The original ones, very good. And that's about it. I was never into the slasher flicks, the gore stuff, Saw,
Yeah,
I mean, if I wanted to watch Laura Loomer, I'd just turn on her live stream. But do I have... Oosh.
The house that Jack built. That movie was terrifying.
I liked Sinister. I thought that was pretty good.
Sinister? Okay.
Very good.
Anthony Hopkins, I'll watch this.
Super chat from Jay Becker, who sent $20. Nice meeting you the other day. Keep it up. Which one of us did you meet?
I don't know.
If you send a small super chat, like $1, just tell us which one of us you met. That'd be great.
It's like I'm watching you from outside your house.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, did I meet somebody the other day? At the picnic,
festival, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe you did. I don't know.
Got a groupie, Dave. Got a groupie.
Maybe we do. Thomas Moore sent $11. Of course, Cam knows the USS Nimitz was designed to last 50 years. And of course, Cam knows that the USS Midway lasted for 50 years, fighting in both the Korean War and all the way up to the Gulf War. Age doesn't equal fleet unreadiness.
Of course, it has something to do with fleet unreadiness.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does. The Iranians could sink one of our carriers with 1, 2, or 3 hypersonic missiles. They're gone. Warfare is completely changed. That's a nonsensical comment. And it's often articulated by people who claim that since World War II, carriers haven't been sunk by anything. Well, we haven't fought a major conventional war since World War II, other than Korea. I think Korea counts. We're about to fight one, and war's completely changed. And they will invert that doctrine just as every war does. Every war changes paradigmatically the way warfare is fought.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what's this article I'm seeing here? How Chinese drones could defeat America. We are dealing in a new era of warfare. We are in a completely new zone between the drones, hypersonics, and all of the technology that we've got going on. We don't really know, do we, how our fleet will stand up to these new threats. We're not exactly battle tested.
We have pretty compelling scenarios that we've run. In fact, there was one that was done 20 years ago. It was a hypothetical war with Iran, and we lost.
Oof!
And that was done 20 years ago. I think it was one of the largest military simulations game theories we've ever run, and it was a debacle for the U.S. Navy. Now, again, who knows what will actually happen? But what I can absolutely tell you with certainty is that the next war will look nothing like the previous war, and that's always a problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, the war that we're in right now, anyway, is definitely this social media.
I think it was called the Millennium Challenge.
Yeah. Well, if you find it, send it in the group Telegram, and I'll put it on screen.
Yeah.
Thomas Moore sent $11. LLMs can only true approximate and factor in multimodal rendering. True agental activity is different from generative approximation in the same way that powered flight is different from a hot air balloon. It might be decades or 100 years before Skynet. Yeah, the AI thing is, I talked with a guy, one of the higher ups at Microsoft in their AI department, one of their head pro. He's a Catholic guy. He went to the Vatican. That's how I got hooked up with him. He came through and did a speech. And he even admitted to the group that we were all talking together that they don't really even know how AI works.
Yeah, I've seen some videos along those lines.
Kind of a black box.
Yeah.
You put it in and what pops out seems to make sense, but the process for how it actually got there, they're not fully aware of how the hell that's even happening. And so AI is very new and, it's helpful. It is helpful.
I use it all the time.
All the time. As a matter of fact, I think almost every single show title that we've ever used for our show
has been AI.
At least, and if not completely generated, it's like big assist. Go in and say, here's the notes, give me 10 clickbait show titles, and then pick the best one
and filter out.
But it works. I mean, it's great. Yeah. It's very helpful. And for contract law, very good. Casey James sent $10. I've seen sources that if we go to war with Iran, the military casualties would number between 125 to 150,000 within a year because of the geography of the nation itself. Conventional military capabilities would be limited by airspace unless by Star Force. I'm assuming SF means. I'm assuming that means Star Force or Space Force. Right? SF means. Yeah, with let me pull
Cameron's laughing, so that's probably not what it means.
Well, what does Cameron have to say?
Well, he's assuming, I think, to get to those casualty numbers, that we would fight a ground war against Iran. You would be a highly incompetent general to launch such a campaign.
Oh, yeah.
It would have to be an air naval engagement. Now, that's not to say that knocking out the regime could be done from the air, from the sea. I don't think that it could. But if we had to fight a ground war against Iran, we could lose a lot of people. I'm not sure about those numbers. Who knows? What I do know is that it will be a conventional war, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long, long time, which is happening, by the way, in Ukraine. In Ukraine, there are estimates that the killed in action numbers on the Ukrainian side alone are approaching 2 million. That's like World War I proportions. And that's because conventional war is an industrial process. Just remember that. Whatever anybody tells you, it is an industrial process. And the very first thing that happens when you make contact with the enemy is you have to adjust. You have to change You have to build new platforms. You have to re-engineer everything you've done. That requires industrial capacity, infrastructure, engineers, human capital. We're not prepared for anything like that. You need a full mobilization of your economy to support something like that. This is why I'm telling you, we're not ready for an event of that scale. Impossible.
This is incredible. I remember covering on this show, we talked about a leaked report.
It said 200,000, right?
No. DD Geopolitics put it out, and it was saying that about 1 million Ukrainians had died. So you go into Google, and everything that comes back is that 1 million Russians have died. 1 million Russians, 1 million Russians, Russia's troop losses, 1 million Russians, how Russia lost 1 million soldiers in Ukraine, blah, blah, blah.
But I do remember
Holy
us covering
shit,
this
that's
earlier in the show where we were looking at casualty reports of 100, 200,000, talking about how staggering that was.
That was, let alone what these the leaked stuff is. But going back
that number, I think that came from Russian cyber hacks of Ukrainian documents,
That's right.
But estimates have been made that approximated those numbers before that intelligence was distributed. Again, assuming that that's real, and I don't know that it is. But those estimates were approximated based on satellite imagery, hospital records, and other pieces of information that suggest that the losses were massive. The other thing to understand about this is that the Russian way of warfare is very different than people have been told in the West. There is an assumption that the Russians have achieved nothing because they haven't commanded or controlled or conquered territory. That is a misinterpretation. The Russian way of warfare is to destroy the Ukrainian military force, right? Largely through attrition, through bombardment, and then destroy the Ukrainian state. That's what their military objective is. It is not about seizing territory. That is a very 20th century way of looking at not just warfare, but the entire world. It's also a mistake that you'll often see U.S. policymakers make, right? They will attribute Chinese imperial hegemony based on their trade relationships with the rest of the world. This is a mistake. The strength of a nation really is their homogeneity. It's their human capital, right? It's the strength of their institutions at home. It's not their imperial holdings. Having an empire can actually be a drain on your resources. That's what's happened to us, right? Same thing is true with the world reserve currency. Having the world reserve currency has not done much good for the United States of America. What it's done is enabled Wall Street to take over everything. That hasn't been in our interest.
Yeah, here's the tweet from DD Geopol. 1.7 million Ukrainians dead or missing. This is all coming from this Russian hack. Uh-oh, Blonde's leaving. Oh, yeah, you're going to try to do that discreetly? Not anymore. Not anymore.
He's caught.
We caught her. All right, Casey James, one other thing that I wanted to mention with Casey's tweet. When you look at Iran, you've got several things to consider here. Number one, you've got Pakistan and Afghanistan on its eastern border, both of whom are allies of Iran outright. Then you've got water barriers on the north and the south, with the Straits of Hormuz. And by the way, the mountain range here,
massive.
And look at the whole country. The whole country is mountainous. There's like a little valley that kind of runs through the middle here. I don't know if we can kind of see it. This is like the main valley where a lot of these cities are. But it is not conducive for tanks or for, troops with wheels to go through. It's just not happening. And furthermore, you've got the mountains to the east, mountains to the west, seas on both sides, plus allies. You do not want to be going into Iraq, Iran. Holy shit, we've been over there. We've been over there too long.
Not at all. Not at all.
We don't want to fuck with this stuff. It is.
Yeah, I sent you earlier. There's a tweet that I posted in our Telegram. Maybe you can bring it up. But it is estimated that the Iranians have between 600 and 1,000 missile silos across the country.
Yep.
I mean, this is an impregnable fortress if ever there was one. And remember, they've only been preparing for this for decades because they've been threatened by the Israelis, by the United States government, by the West. So yeah, this is an ill-advised campaign if ever there was one.
Yeah, this is incredible. Let's see here. It says that they've got missile cities, 1 to 200 underground missile cities with an estimated 600 to 1,000 silos. Iranian government's going through a tough time, blah, blah, blah. Chinese and Russians have been reticent in providing air defense. Iranian Navy can act. Yeah, plus they've got the drones. They're not some backwater. They're not like a bunch of goat herders. This is not Afghanistan. This is very different. By the way, the average IQ in Iran is like 105.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, last time I checked. Hold on, let me ask Grok. What's my
Well,
IQ?
the short of it is that Iran, for at least a few reasons, is a viable competitor. And yes, they can inflict real damage upon us, and not simply because we've deindustrialized or because of doctrinal problems, because our fleet, our organizational structure is obsolescent, the quality of our personnel, that's all bad enough. But Iran has some real strategic advantages. They have some core allies who I think will provide them with whatever they need, assuming that they're attacked, namely the Chinese and the Russians. They also have regional support because increasingly Israel is isolated, right? So you add all of these things up, this is very precarious, which is why I said at the outset, Donald Trump does not want war with Iran. It is insane to pursue this course. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he's compromised. And as I said earlier, I think the man has the fear of God in him. I think for whatever reason, Congress, the executive branch of the U.S. government, it's beholden to that state.
Yeah. Anonymous sent $10. I like the show better before these rants. Rebecca, you're beautiful, but can we cut this segment? I like the buy-in from everyone and watch for everyone. It feels like Rebecca's show and feels unbalanced now. Go watch Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, no.
Go to Daily Wire. No,
to be fair, this is my show.
Yeah.
Everybody contributes.
She's the one that makes the outlines.
I do.
I don't touch it. Robert sent $25. I don't know who that simping anonymous fag was, but I, for one, like Rebecca's rants. And I'd argue most people do. This town ain't big enough for the both of us, and I'd declare a simp duel. Choose a weapon, sir. Dibs on the taser designed by black women.
Did somebody say simp off?
Simp off.
We got a simp off here. I would pay money to see that. We can get maybe Diddy has some extra baby oil you could send us. We could have a simp off in the backyard.
Okay, I'm into it. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's a walk off.
Thado,
I don't know if you ever saw it. Did you ever see Zoolander?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorites.
Thado Thorntner sent $10. Would you like me to set up an unofficial Discord Telegram server for the Backlash? Just something to help connect and organize your viewers.
We have one on Telegram, and
I could've
allegedly we have a Discord already.
Yeah, I could have sworn somebody made us a Discord.
If anybody has the info to the Discord.
If somebody did make us a Discord, can you email that to us?
Yeah.
Because we can't even find the link to it anymore. I tried looking for it.
But our Telegram is the Backlash.
We have, is it a group chat?
Yeah.
It's t.me/the Backlash?
Let me look. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we do have a Telegram, but I don't want any feds in there, It's difficult. Anyway, we'll figure it out, Thado Thorntner. We will figure something out. Anonymous sent $10. How powerful was the alt-right in 2016? Would you have guessed the level of noticing would be what it is today back then?
Yeah. I mean, we got to thank these people that were openly proclaiming that they were alt-right in 2016.
Yeah. I was literally the alt-right correspondent on the morning show at the radio station.
I mean, you guys walked so we could run.
Yeah. And, it's also incredible. The people that were involved in, was it Identity Europa? That was an excellent cross-section of American men.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was.
And there's a lot of them that are still around, and they're doing great things and, involved with all kinds of different groups that have, gone on. So, yes, I could imagine that the levels of noticing would be this way, especially because it's happened 109 times. It's
So
like,
take that logic train just a step farther and ask, where are we going to be in another 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's I've said this as a joke before, but it's like if there was ever a popular political platform in world geopolitics history, it's been kicking a certain group of people out of the country. It's very popular. It's
right.
very
And
popular.
also you need to, a big problem, and this speaks to, I think, to some degree, the dichotomy between masculine and feminine as well, is that a big problem among Americans is they're so enraptured by linear thinking, right? We only go in one direction, right? If we start to decline, we only decline. If we start to ascend, we only ascend. Is that what you experience in your life, right? Nope. You start to succeed and then all you do is experience success? No, that's not the way your life works. It's not the way civilization works. Human systems are dynamic. They change. All of a sudden, you go left or you go straight. We do not pursue a linear path. That's just a failure of imagination. Most linear models, in fact, I think all linear models throughout history have been wrong. There's a famous statement. I always make it. I think I've said it to you guys as well. George Box, all models are wrong. Some are useful. Let go of the obsession with linearity. It's just not the way human beings function.
True. Thomas Moore sent another $11. The Naval Register itself expected the Nimitz to last 50 years, including 2 scheduled nuclear refuelings. Whose carriers last less than that? Can't you just come up with a better X for fleet unreadiness, or a better example for fleet unreadiness than ships designed to last that long?
There is going to be degradation over time.
I was going to say, what about the 2 ships that were over in like the Middle East that like they turned too quickly and like a bunch of airplanes started falling off of them? That happened like twice this past summer, where they were like literally taking like evasive maneuvers to get away from the Houthis, and like planes started falling off.
Whoops!
Like oopsie days. There's like $2 billion that just went down the drain.
The GAO, the Government Accountability Office, has put out reports on naval readiness, and it's not flattering. So all you got to do is go read those reports. But I use the carriers as an example because that's the bedrock of the fleet, right? Our carrier strike groups, that's a legacy of World War II. It's how we fought and won against the Japanese. It's how we're still organized today. So there's the lodestar of how we operate, but that's obsolete. And anybody that knows anything about missile technology, about drones, about small boat threats, all of which I worked with when I was in the military myself, when I was in the Navy, we all knew that anybody floating on the surface would basically be eviscerated if we got into a serious war. We used to do anti-submarine exercises, and we lost every time. The joke was, what do you do if a torpedo's in the water? Well, you abandon ship right away. Otherwise, you're going to disintegrate. So this is not conjecture. This is a reality. The reason why it's persisted is a better question, right? Why are we still operating this way? And the reason is inertia. The reason is grift. The reason is corruption. The reason is that you have a lot of people at the top of the U.S. military who have grifted for a long, long time, and they weren't interested in dealing with organizational change because they were making a lot of money, right? That's the truth of the matter. Now, and what's very sad about this is you're going to see people get killed because of their negligence. That's what's going to happen, right? But in terms of readiness, there are many reasons. It's a multifaceted equation. One is that the Chinese can produce more at one of their shipyards than we can in all of ours combined. Our shipyards are a disaster. Our merchant marine fleet is a mess. The training of our junior officers is poor, which is why we've had an uptick. We've had a spike, in fact, of accidents at sea. And that speaks to the operational tempo that I mentioned earlier. Trying to do with 200 ships what we used to do with 600. I could go on and on and on. But the fact of the matter is we are not prepared for war. And that's why Hegseth and Trump have been pushing this sort of military reorganization. They're on the right track, but it's going to take open heart surgery, not cosmetic reform.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember all these articles about like, at like boot camp, they would like take men, dress them up in high heels and make them run a mile. to, if you've heard of this stuff, right? I mean, our military is basically a bunch of like trannies and queers, you know?
That's hazing.
Well, I don't know. Black Behavior sent, oh, son of a bitch, it's not working. Black Behavior sent $25 on Entropy. I was one of the first on X to tell you, Dave, about Zeb. I appreciate him taking my comment into consideration. You may not agree, but I know that you looked at it enough to follow him. I am appreciative. I am similarly appreciative of Kim. Post-Kirk assassination, we've been in Fuentes groupthink. Who's Zeb? And I guess I'm following him. I don't know.
Thanks for taking it into account, though.
Yeah, sure. Zeb, I'll have to go Google or X him again and see what that is. Anyway, Paulie B sent $20. Blonde, even with all the known... I can't say that word. And it's spelled wrong, too. Keikery. I don't think that's spelled correctly. Even with all of the known K-word among Zoomers, young men still just respond to incentives in part, and military service is still one of white men's only paths to status. Additionally, even pussified Zoomer men with self-awareness, I'm assuming zero self-awareness, will join the challenge and forge themselves into something harder and better.
There's no status for military service. If you have status, you have hot chicks. And let me tell you, every year I go to the Marine Corps ball, and you know what the wives look like? Woof.
Woof.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
The officers' wives are hotter.
One thing I do want to mention, though, because I get a lot of comments along these lines, again, from people that I think are intelligent, that are plugged in. And so they assume that in order for other people to get engaged, they have to also be intelligent and informed and engaged. This is not true. So a historic example of this, which is pretty graphic, and I strongly encourage all of you to read it, there's a very good book called The Crowd. I talk about it all the time. It was written by a Frenchman in the 19th century named Gustave Le Bon, okay? In that book...
Like, okay, what would it be like?
Sorry.
In that book, there is a vignette of a cook during the French Revolution who is walking down the street and he hears a ruckus, and it's basically a mob that has seized somebody that they then kill. And the cook participates in cutting this guy to pieces. And it's made very clear in the book that the cook does not do this because of ideological fervor. He didn't much care. He did it because he was bored and he had nothing else to do. Right?
What is this book called?
It's called The Crowd. It's written by Gustave Le Bon. When society ruptures, when there's disequilibrium, one of the things that happens is unemployment, is boredom. People don't really know what else to do, so they engage in all manner of macabre destruction. That is exactly what happened during the French Revolution. If you look at some of the video from Sri Lanka or from what just happened in Nepal, that's what you see on the streets as well. And an interesting factoid here, and part of the reason I keep saying you're going to see revolutions in countries like France and the UK. In France, as we speak, officially, the youth unemployment is 18%. So what is it really? It's probably much higher than that. In Spain, I think it's 25%. So you have a lot of men who are bored, who don't have access to employment, who have no status, sort of chomping at the bit once authority breaks down. And I think you're going to start to see some real carnage on the streets. Boredom, in other words, or a simple distraction is all that is required to get people off their ass and doing something. It does not require ideological brainwashing.
Yeah.
Did you know that the phrase is actually champing at the bit?
Champing at the bit.
Is
Not
it?
chomping at the bit?
Yes.
Chomping at the bit, that's what...
It makes more sense.
That's what meth heads do, right?
It is champing at the bit.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of those things that it's like saying bruschetta. If you say champing at the bit...
Bruschetta?
But if you say like bruschetta, people will just think you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
So saying champing at the bit is something like that. People are like, what?
Chomping at the bit. Champing at the bit. Interesting. How did this come up?
Because Cameron said it.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't listening, apparently. Whoops. Anyway, what I know why I wasn't listening. It was because I was trying to figure out who Zeb was. And we found out it was Zeb Boykin, that we're talking about.
Boykin.
Yeah, I guess, we have followed each other on Twitter.
Thank you, live chat.
He runs a YouTube channel called Outside the Overton. I'm assuming that it's very good stuff. I haven't watched. I don't consume that much. I listen to 3 podcasts: the Jew podcast, the Crypto podcast, and
Fuentes.
That's about it.
Fuentes, black-pilled academic agent. I watch Cameron's videos.
TFTC, by the way, one of the best podcasts out there. Criminally underrated. We get about as many views as they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's it called?
TFTC. It's Marty Bent. And Matthew Odell. They're the founders of 21 Capital. I like them a lot. Don't get me started.
Do you know whose channel is criminally underrated?
Ours.
Cameron's. And Cameron's the other day, he's like, I'm not very good at hyping my own material. I'm like, that's because you literally never talk about it.
Yeah, let's get this up on screen. Neo-masculinity.
If you are not following Cameron McGregor on YouTube at Neo-masculinity,
doing it wrong.
You're missing out. His videos are top notch.
We got to get him to 10,000. Come
Look
on.
at that picture of him.
10,000 subscribers. And also, by the way, if he's got 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, why don't we have 7,000? We should be.
He's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
This is about Cameron.
Look at his thumbnails. They're great.
They're great.
What kind of American are you? Yeah, Neo-masculinity. It's men and the city. He's also got a Substack. Make sure that you are following him there as well. Queensboro Bridge enjoyer sent $10. Cam, speaking of, what are your thoughts on Monday's stream? Adam said Christ is a pacifist, despite turning over the money changers and ordering the disciples to sell their coats and buy swords. He also got a basic fact wrong. Peter struck Malchus, the unarmed slave, not an armed soldier arresting Christ. I did get that wrong. I got that wrong.
A lot of stuff was
I didn't realize that Malchus was a slave. I thought he was one of the soldiers. I think Mel Gibson even portrayed him as a soldier in The Passion. But anyway, Cam? Did you watch?
So I haven't seen the full stream. I need to watch it. I will. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and it seems like they sort of double teamed Dave. So I'll tune in for that.
They
if
did.
nothing else. But what I will say is, when it comes to theology or biblical knowledge, mine is lacking. So Dave knows far more about that subject than I do. The only thing I will say though. And Rebecca's heard me say this. I know Dave has as well. We endeavor to be a source of unity. I believe in Christian values. I think Christianity is part of the bedrock of American identity and Western identity in general. I don't like the squabbling that goes on between the Orthodox and the Catholics and the Protestants. We all have to band together and swim in the same direction. I just can't stress that enough. And I understand that a lot of these principles, they're important and there are differences, and those differences are weighty, they're significant. But right now, we're facing an existential crisis. We got to take our countries back. And so we've got to set those issues aside and we've got to congeal. That's my only point.
Yeah, I'd say every minute that we sit around arguing about something like the existence of Jesus Christ and, some of the stuff that Adam, love him, but also, I feel like that's a moment wasted that we could have been organizing counter-revolutionary stuff, I don't know.
That's true. I mean, we can deal with it later. When this is a white country, then we can fight then. Yeah.
Amen. Thomas Moore sent a follow-up for $11. Chinese, why 11? Why not 10? Why not 15? 11.
Stop dunking on the
I'm
audience.
not dunking on the audience. He's very engaged. I like him very much.
We're so grateful for your donation.
We are. And the dialogue is just great. Thomas Moore sent $11. Chinese industrial capacity is about 5 times that of the United States. But the issue of their position is that a long war works against them, as the longer it takes them to take Taiwan, the more Allied forces migrate to the region. That sounds a little neocon-y.
No, not at all. Well, the other thing too is this is another improper understanding of China. China is not interested in a war. China is a merchant country. That's what they want. Look at the distribution of Chinese military bases around the world. You know how many they have? It's like 3, okay, in the world. How many do we have? Yeah, it's hundreds. I think it's 800 bases in 100 countries around the world, something of that nature. The Chinese will do with Taiwan exactly what they did in Hong Kong and Macau. And I was in Hong Kong in 2019 when they really consolidated their position. And what the Chinese do, and it's very different than the way we do things in the West, they do not conquer via force at all, in part because the Chinese know that that's counterproductive. In Taiwan right now, there's three parties. One party is vehemently opposed to Beijing. One party supports Beijing. And then you have some people that are sort of in the middle. The party that supports Beijing is on the upswing. And the policy of Beijing, the policy of Xi, is to gradually assimilate Taiwan back into the Chinese ethno-state. What they did in Hong Kong is basically the same. They told the Hongkies, they said, look, you can keep some edifice of your own governance. We want to maintain Hong Kong as an international hub of financial capital, but you will be subservient to Beijing. And they gradually asserted control. They populated the local government with Beijing officials. They moved a lot of mainland Chinese to Hong Kong. They removed Cantonese as the official language. It became Mandarin. This is how the Chinese function. It's how they operate. There will be no war there unless we provoke one. And the Chinese are very concerned about that. And they will draw a line in the sand, in part because Taiwan has been the base of every major invasion of China over the last 100 to 200 years, especially by the Japanese. So for them, it's an existential issue. But remember, we have a policy that goes back to Deng Xiaoping in the 1980s, which basically is a one China policy. We have absolutely no reason to interfere in that. It would be suicidal for us to do so. One other thing, if we did, we would lose. You know why? There are thousands of miles of ocean between us and China. China has supply chains all around them. They have the industrial capacity, as you point out. They are prepared to fight that war. We could not, logistically alone, we could not fight that war.
Yep. All right. I think we are caught up to date with our super chats.
Do we have one more ad?
We do have another ad, and I've just got some random clips that I wanted to force feed into the show.
Hustle. We're going on 3 hours.
Son of this dang fly. Yes, we are. And I've got to talk about Antelope Hill Publishing, who is fighting to keep history alive amidst a regime of anti-white censorship and to publish a new generation of dissident, radical, and right-wing researchers, philosophers, polemicists, and writers. They have an eclectic catalog that includes veteran right-wing authors and academics like Carrie Bolton, Dr. Ricardo Duchesne, Paul Kersey, as well as newer figures like Lord Miles Routledge of Afghanistan, Josh Neal, and Christian Secor, in addition to a long list of original translations or modern reprints of otherwise inaccessible historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and even medieval Europe. Their original works include groundbreaking investigations into the causes and funding behind transgenderism and the opioid crisis, books on Christian nationalism, and American folktales. Additionally, Antelope Hill also contributes to the regeneration of our culture and the rebirth of our family values through their top-quality fiction, including books like Let Them Look West and World Separated, and a collection of beautifully illustrated and wholesome children's books. Whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you'll like at Antelope Hill, all professionally published with cover art that will grace your bookshelves. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and work to preserve the birthright of our history. Visit antelopehillpublishing.com. Now, hold on. I wanted to read this into the record. We were talking earlier on the show, or during our production meeting, we were debating whether we should play a clip into the show or not, and assuming whether or not people had already seen it. And I kind of do view the show as kind of like our running record. At least it's recorded on my hard drive. I've got a copy of it, so if they delete a post or make something disappear, if I played it on the show, then I have a copy of it.
You get one.
Well, I wanted to show, there was MTG is going to defund Israel, or
we'll see about that.
She introduced a bill to defund Israel. We didn't talk about this earlier. Brad Parscale, the guy that ran Trump's campaign, has now signed on to be a foreign agent for Israel. Have you seen this? This is not good. His Clock Tower X LLC is worth $6 million, and Netanyahu has just signed him up to be a foreign agent for Israel. So definitely keep an eye on that. But I thought this was funny.
The real problem is niggerism. That's the real problem. And that's the problem in all ghettos. That's the problem, niggerism, where you got people who have just been,
Why can't I say this?
They have died in the wool, if you will, against white America, against American structure, and they have no work ethic. You can't get a job. You can build all the jobs you want. You can't make these young boys go to work. They're not going to do it. The schools teach niggerism. And that's why the immigrant problem is such a major issue, is because Latinos, Mexicans have not been indoctrinated with niggerism. Niggerism is to let the government take care of you. The government owes you everything. The government owes you a house. It owes you education. It owes you income.
It's like
owes
Jesse
you
Lee Peterson. I like him.
It owes you a pair of sneakers. I mean, and this is niggerism, and that's what all the black.
Who is this?
You don't know Pastor Manning? Oh man, we got to get him booked on the show.
Oh, we should do it.
That'd be so funny. Anyway, that came across my feed.
It is now in the record.
That is so funny.
If it pleases the court, counselor.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I rest my case.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, actually, at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for a special episode with Academic Agent. It's going to be great. We're going to talk digital IDs and all sorts of stuff.
Is he English?
Yeah.
Is he British? Okay.
It's going to be great. We're looking forward to it. Find all of our links at thebacklash.net. You can support us there. You can please subscribe to all of our platforms. Follow us on every single platform. We would really appreciate that. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.